Hello everyone and welcome back to the Dead Air podcast. Episode 34 has finally hit store shelves. Deadheads, get yourself strapped in for this one. Basically a season 2. It's me, Jacky, joined this time around, of course, by the legendary Benjamin Esio Doughty, a man amongst men, I suppose a legend amongst men as well, Ben, really, in most circles. I'm excited for this one, mate. It's good to have you on the pod. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. I suppose it's a bit of an unknown ground for me, technically speaking, but at the same time, it'd be interesting to get my feet wet a bit, get in there a little bit.
Yeah, dip them in. It's like you've gone to sort of the diving pool, but it's a little bit chilly, so you've got to sort of walk in the shallow end. You don't want to dive in foot first. You don't know what's at the bottom. Yeah. Might hurt yourself. Could be too shallow.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's the thing. Those signs do tend to lie. So if you just go straight down like a pebble, you hurt yourself.
They are known for just lying at the places like that.
Yeah, that's what
the
they
legality.
do. Exactly, yeah, they're always looking for lawsuits. But we'll give people a bit of background as well. If you don't know about Ben, you will very soon. Obviously, we've both known each other for absolute decades at this point. We met at a LAN event in the UK many, many years ago when Ben came over to the admin desk. Yeah, is it actually our anniversary?
Yeah,
oh my
it was
God.
The epic, the winter one. Well, the spring into February epic, right? Yeah. It was the admin table, asked for my password to be reset.
Yeah. And I said, okay, what's the username? And he said Esio with 6 big O's and was it five small?
3 small, 5 big.
There we go.
Be great on countdown.
Yeah. Another consonant, please. Another capital, please.
Yeah. And then technically, I don't think we spoke much after that, but obviously months later, it just kind of I started playing more in the scene, and then maybe blossomed from there. We've done a few events.
The circles overlapped. We've been around the globe together. We've done many different things. Obviously, both of us stemming our sort of original esports background from Counter-Strike, so a lot of time invested there, blossoming in the UK scene, and then finally breaking out of it to travel all around the world. You also, of course, did compete in multiple other titles. You've got a bit of a MOBA background. You've smashed some noobs in games like League of Legends at LAN events, Ben. That's always been an accolade of yours. And I think this should be quite good for a lot of the viewers, because I've always found your sort of thoughts on MOBA or generally just competitive games as a sort of cross-board to actually be really up there with your way of understanding theory and how to approach things. It's always felt like you've kind of been on the pulse of sort of game sense. Yeah,
I suppose it's like I said, the weird background where you don't get many people who have played high level in a MOBA as well as a first-person shooter, because those paths are typically not aligned, whereas obviously Deadlock comes in as that's the split where it meets. Right, so I guess background-wise, League of Legends, I was high Diamond 1 before they introduced the Master League, so it was, I think it was just shy of top 1,000 in Europe for it, well, EU West rather. So, and that was at the time where it was LCS, and the EU LCS at the time was coming in. It was like, okay, cool, this could be a thing. But I had played CS before that, and it was only because CSGO didn't look great when it came out, which I think everybody agrees with.
Yeah, that's fair.
It didn't look great. It was grey. It was horrible.
Very foggy, very ice skatey. Hidden Path didn't do a great job.
No. And then CSGO comes out, and it's like, the first year's a bit rough, but we were just like, we'll just keep playing League, because that was with Imi, who now coaches Cloud9's Valorant team, Mighty Max, who's now assistant coach at Astralis in CS as well. It's very interesting how the pathways have kind of aligned this way, where they have the same background technically. But we came back to CS, we played for Endpoint for a bit, Choke Gaming obviously was another big one. And technically it's I've been salaried in CS. League, it was sent to events to play. Yeah. And it's, as you said, the weird split of, I have an opinion which probably doesn't technically come from the same pathway or thinking as some other people do, which gives me a bit of a different insight, I suppose, is the other thing about this sort of angle, I suppose.
I think it's something that's always led into your nature as well. For context, if you're kind of wondering what Ben does these days as well, it's always sort of been much more of your analytical, narrative, story-driven content. You do loads of stuff with companies like EFG, Blast. You'll always see Ben around. He's behind the scenes, kind of building effectively a lot of what you'll see on these broadcasts when it comes to how they're giving you sort of factoids, information, storylines. A lot of that comes straight from the mind of Ben. He'll make sure that it it hits a narrative, but it is coming from a place where it's all data driven. And a game like Deadlock, I've come to realise, especially someone that never really liked mathematics growing up, a lot of it is just numbers, and you kind of have to get over that and realise these things quickly because it plays an important role in getting better at the game fast.
Yeah, it's the the weird split of you can't just be an aimer in this sort of game. You can't just be mechanically perfect, which, to be fair, it's the same in CS, right? You can be perfect at shooting, but you still need to have that brain side, which Deadlock seems to have a bit more of it because there's a lot more at hand, right? It's not just, oh, this guy could run round the corner and shoot me in the face. Deadlock, it's, he might use this spell or use this item. He might be in the air bouncing off wall. There's so many more things to think about, which I guess we're going down the pathway of comparing CS with like Valorant even at that point, because skills in Valorant also created that same thinking. It's just that Deadlock 6v6 as well, which another player in the game, 6 characters all having 4 spells. You've got 24 spells to think about. There's a lot more to go at it. But just going back to what you were saying about the like what I do technically, it's with EFG, with Blast, I'm in control of doing a lot of the stats and storylines because having that experience with as a caster with you, doing some of the higher level lines. We did Chicago with each other. We did some Pro League stuff.
Yeah, was it IEM New York? There was a lot of random bits. Yeah. Or it was ESL1 New York maybe at the time. I think it might have been before the brand changed.
It was just before, because that was the event that EG won. It was strange.
It was, God. When Cirque came into the scene. Yeah.
But like, we did that, obviously, as an analyst as well, been on the desk. So it's like the weird, been on the desk, I've casted, I've played, and then production, so it's like I can sit in every box and be like, I've been there, let's think about this from this perspective. And obviously, now going towards a Deadlock point of view, it's then, okay, use the playing experience primarily, because obviously it's not, we're talking about a show right here. This is a new game, still in beta, it's not out. People still need to remember, it's not out.
People forget, but we're still kind of not even anywhere near that, No.
Which, that changes the way everybody should be thinking about things when it comes to talking about it, which obviously we'll go into depth later on. But I think people really need to just step back a second and assess it properly.
No, absolutely. I think I remember this was maybe last year or the year before, I think sort of 2024, right, when obviously Valve initially went from behind closed doors testing, sort of, I think it was May time it started, and then around August, right, they let people sort of discuss it publicly for the first time. A lot of people had the knee-jerk of like, oh, it's out, it's not that good, it doesn't make any sense. I remember Steele, to carry on with the Counter-Strike analogies for a sec, obviously chatting to him about it, and Josh was basically just like, well, it's done, but it's dead. And I was like, no, dude, like the game is not done. It's not going to look at all like this. Like, it looks like Play-Doh right now. They haven't fleshed it out. You know, this is like the vertical slice of, we've nailed down the gameplay enough that we're happy with people to see it, and that was it. But I think a lot of people it always sort of explained it in the sense in like the modern day, Deadlock doesn't make sense to people because normally a beta is like, it's the finished game, but it's like a free demo to bait you to buy it. Whereas Deadlock legitimately is like, here is a game we are developing, give us your feedback so we can make it better.
I think that's also the confusion for anybody coming from like CS or even from League or anything like that. All these players have come into a game which has been released. Like, saying this as someone who played League in 2009 when it was atrocious, to be honest. Like, it was clunky, it broke a lot, it was not great. And then obviously even played Hon when that was coming around, and that was, again, this is what, 2007, 2008 or something like that, or maybe 2009 even as well. But it was just no good. But obviously people understood, it's a beta. This is when betas existed as betas, which is what you were getting out there. Because now it's, the game's in beta, but it's actually early access on Steam, so we could release it and you can pay for it.
So we can start getting money as soon as possible.
Like it's a weird, I guess it's a marketing thing at this point, where it's not
I think
the same as actual game dev thinking. It's purely, let's get people in this door instead of let's test things.
Yeah, well, that was always the thing. I think that's what Valve have always kind of done well, in the sense that, for the most part, they've always stuck to that track record of basically just keep it cooking, wait until they're really happy with it, and then they know they only get that one time to say, this is the official release. So, it's like Dota 2. I think a lot of people forget, as much as Dota 2's now been around for so bloody long, we had what, like 3-4 years from sort of 2011 onwards, where it was kind of in a beta stage. It's get the direct invites from your friends, similar system, but I think back then you used like the Steam inventory, whereas now obviously it's like you just request an invite from your friend and maybe you'll get in. It's a lot easier these days with Deadlock as well. I think it's kind of the illusion of a gatekeep. You know, you can ask someone and within an hour you'll be in Deadlock.
Yeah, I think that's subreddits even, right? Where it's just,
yeah,
reply to this thread, I'll get you invited, because it is just you just need to have someone on your friends who can invite you. Like, it's an open beta, but people still have, it's the fact that I think that people have spent so many hours in it that they get frustrated, and it's like, well, that's your choice. Like, but clearly you like the game, so what's the problem as well? You wouldn't spend that time otherwise.
No, exactly. I do notice that it's one of those where it's like it's interesting. Usually, the most vocal people, it's like, you know, I'm pushing multiple thousands of hours at this point. I think most of us have all got, like, we're up there in terms of hours investment. But then you compare that to like the amount of hours we've played, like Counter-Strike throughout our lives or other games. You know, it's like upwards of 17,000 hours. You've also then got to roll that back to like Source, other games. So we've always sort of known investing a lot of time in a game doesn't really, you know, amount to like, oh, I deserve X. But I think you've got a lot of younger people that have come into Deadlock. They're hitting like 2K hours over a 2-year period, which it's a lot, but it's very small in the grand scheme of the fact that the game's not even out. You know, you can't kind of let it get to you. It was when Rank came out, I think a lot of people got upset because they thought, oh, suddenly the game is, you know, it's in that state. Why are things unbalanced? It's like, dude, this is how it should be. It should come out unbalanced. Then they can make it good in a couple years' time. But you're having fun, so it's clearly doing something right.
It's funny how, like, when Rank did come out, though, that obviously they undid it because it was such a divide in terms of... Obviously, they introduced that, the competitive setting now, right?
Yeah, the extra competitive mode.
Which people have clearly got upset about playing Ranked because people... I mean, toxicity is a thing that probably does need to be talked about in a game like this, because MOBAs are bad for it, FPSs are bad for it. You've got a moulding of two groups.
It is the crossover. In a weird way, it does feel like it's appealed to the friendliest Dota and Counter-Strike fans and the epitome of the Dota and Counter-Strike fans. So you do have people on either side, But I don't know why, but I think that's always been a thing where, like, even with CS players, they'll get very angry, and they, you know, it can make them snappy. But there's something about MOBA. I've always sort of think it's the fact that it's like 40 minutes of your time, but you're not only upset that it's also like you're not only upset that the enemy's beating you, they're also fighting the 5 other people on their team with like mental gymnastics of why they've lost. Whereas the weird comparison is, I remember the friendliest scene I ever worked in was working with like a load of the Quake players when I was doing like all the big Quake tournaments for a while. They basically said to me, it was like Rafa, who legendary Quake player, if you know the name. He was saying, like, yeah, I mean, you've got to have humility because at the end of the day, it's a solo esport. I've got no one else to blame. If I ever make a mistake and do something wrong, I can't blame it on 4 other people. I can't blame someone for missing a flash, for not buying knockdown. It's like, it's my bad, so I just got to get better. I can't be mad. So I think, you know, there was that level of maturity of understanding that. Whereas in games like this, it is a little bit easier to go, oh, well, it's Dave's fault. If Dave bought Slowing Hex, it would have been fine, you know?
That was part of the reason why I swapped back to CS, weirdly. Like, into that thinking of, because, like, I would have been 16 when I swapped back to CS from League. I think it was literally, in League, it's harder to solo carry. From a perspective of, I can't control what Dave, Bill, Bob, and Ned do in the other lanes, right?
John,
I can only control what I do.
Ringo. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't control what the Beatles do. All I can do is drop my solo track and make sure it goes well. It's like, whereas in CS, in theory, you could 1v5 every round.
Yeah.
Like, way easier probability, even though obviously it's not going to happen, but you could. Yeah. It's a way
we got
better
close
chance.
to that with Donk, right? Kind of his debut year. That was basically him proving that is a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, that was... Yeah, I mean, the weird bit is he put better numbers up this year and didn't get number 1, so I mean, that was... But, you know, that both shows you still need a team either way, though. Which I think this would be a reference to CS fans mostly, but walking off the stage in their quarter-final matchup, I think it was quarter-final, after Mirage, he literally walked away to the point that like his coach was trying to drag him back, like, hang on, don't do this, like whatever.
Yeah.
That's a good example of what people effectively are doing, as you said, which is like, oh, it's their fault, I'm not winning, da da da.
Yeah.
Which, the maturity aspect, which some people have it, some people will get it, some people may never get it, but that's just people, I guess, right? This happens in other places too. It's not just a games thing, right? Like some jobs are known for it.
A sport thing, a kind of it's anything that requires some level of competitive drive. Like you either really blossom with it, and I think again it's a level of life experience as well in a lot of people. Where the average player base for Deadlock I think is a bit younger. Where you can see it's like it's a new Valve title. We haven't had an original Valve IP in decades, so the fact that this is kind of their baby, it's a brand new game, brand new IP, a lot of people are getting in, so you've got old school Valve fans, new people that have just found Deadlock from all these different scenes. I think some people it's just kind of not having the life experience necessarily, so it does feel like it's the end of the world if you lose your 40-minute game, but in reality it's like, come on bud, like you're going to be playing this game for the next 10 years, it's alright, like go next, just change your build, do something different, have a bit of a counter. What you doing?
Yeah, I suppose with that same thought of it's like the old players. It's also the people who are not quite there yet in other esports who jump across in hopes, because I think that's the problem now with every game that gets released. They automatically think there is going to be a competitive mode. There will be an esport, and it's like, I mean, there doesn't have to be. I know there will be with basically every game, but there doesn't have to be. But people assume there will be, and this creates that even more aggressive, toxic, competitive.
In a weird way, Deadlock is actually unironically at its best in this sort of state where it is more just sort of the nature of you're just playing the game. They're building sort of the other elements around it as well, of like fleshing out the heroes, fleshing out the lore. There's a lot more to it that I think appeals to drastically more people, where Counter-Strike at this point has grown to be this behemoth and a lifestyle for all of us, really. Gave us a job, gave us careers, lots of life experience to travel the world. But Counter-Strike purely is the competitive esport mode. That's basically what the fan base is and what it will continue to be forever. Whereas Deadlock, I think you could show it to someone that just loves the designs. You could show it to someone that just likes the voices. You could show it to someone that just wants to play Street Brawl now and just enjoy that, and never watch a game of competitive or esports ever, and they'd be happy. It appeals to cosplayers. There's a lot more facets to it, where I feel like in some ways it is doing very well for more of a mass appeal than they've done in a very long time. I think the Dota kind of treads that line, where at least Dota, you also have a lot of people from different backgrounds that like the game for reasons other than just competitive Dota. But I think Deadlock's sort of taking that one step further.
I guess the Dota side, there was a lot of people who just swapped because they played Dota 1, or they played HON, or they played League but didn't like League because they played Dota. There's a lot of people who just, who are now, I guess this is a conversation I think I had a few months back, where, like, for example, StarCraft 2, the user base for StarCraft 2 are now, 35 plus minimum average, because they've just been around for that, like, the game's been around for that long. Dota has been around for 20 years or so. So the player base for that is more casual, because it's like, well, I don't have the time. So naturally it progressed to this level where it's like, okay, well, there's some new players coming through, obviously, but Deadlock has that opportunity where you could grab at, as you said, all the communities, not just we're a competitive game, which again it doesn't have to be. Like, this is kind of something I thought about beforehand, where like League, when it was at its not really in its youth, but I guess the 2011, 2012, 2013, which is the I want to call it the glitz and the glamour years, where Twitch was popping. Like, Justin TV swapped to Twitch. Everybody's talking about gamer houses, teams moving into gamer houses, content of gamer houses. It's popping off, it's going crazy.
Compounds was a key word.
The EG house, where it was like, oh, look at what they're doing in StarCraft 2. Like, all these fantastic things. But it's like, technically, the game was in a spot where everybody could run a tournament if they wanted to, which, true, Deadlock, anybody could do. You just obviously need to do it, have a prize pool, whatever. You could. But it made it very exciting because you didn't know what's coming up next. Like, it was such a fresh, like, because this was when you guys were doing the Red Bull charity event, for example. In my mind, I was like, there's a very similar user base here from what I remember in 2011, 2012, where everybody's so excited. They're like, what's the next patch? What's happening? League was releasing patches every 2 weeks. Deadlock at that time was doing it every week because it was active.
Oh yeah,
which
and
meant
these were
everybody's
like
crazy. But yeah, they were
literally
patches,
the entire game had been
patches.
rewritten. Like
Yeah, but that was what, a few months from the lane change, technically.
Yeah,
because that was that changed the game incredibly. Because suddenly you might open the game and say, oh, there's 3 lanes now.
yeah.
I'm used to 4. What's happened?
That's what I mean. You basically, like, for the people that went there at that time as well, it was the fact that it was so bizarre in the sense that you'd be in a Discord with like a couple thousand people, and Yoshi would manually at everyone and say, game's in 30 minutes, and it'd be like, hey, the servers are coming up. You'd play for the 4-hour time slot each region had allotted, or if you were like me, you'd pretend you were there from America and go, howdy, and play all of America and then go into Asia, and the ping would get worse, but you just wanted to play. But yeah, it felt very different. It was old school. It was, it wasn't anything like what we've had, or I genuinely think probably ever have again. I don't think it should work. It was a very Valve sort of, people are just going to play this and want to do it because they bloody love it, and we know we have that sort of fan base that'll dive in. But yeah, man, it was bizarre, and you would get these gargantuan patches where everything in the game, every item, every hero, every facet of how it would work would be changed, things would be added, things would be gutted. And then, like you say, we got to that point where sort of into, what was it, sort of 2025, we started getting the first big major updates, like 3-lane major update, shop rework major update, and then now, obviously, end of 2025 going into 2026, we got the first, what feels like a double major update in Old Gods New Blood, where it's sort of, again, everything's changed.
Yeah, it's definitely like a reminder of, it's a beta. Like, the things are going to change. Like, these things are going to change. Some people might not like it. I think it'd be very rare for people to not like this sort of change, though, because that previous base was a bit...
Yeah.
It was very Hammer Tool, like, setup, to be honest. Because the colour palette, if you've been in Hammer Tool at all, it's that shade of off-white, bluish.
Yeah.
Everything's the same colour. It's just set up to be what it is. Whatever. But this is definitely one of those changes which changes it a lot for people, though. People who didn't like the normal game will play now.
Oh, yeah. Because you have theming and you have new modes, you have new things. But you're right in the sense as well, it's so funny where... I remember, obviously, all of us, we got jobs from Counter-Strike. We played Go for years. Moving from Go to from Source to Go, they kind of looked the same. Like, all things considered, especially going back without the rose-tinted goggles, stuff just got a little bit more round in CSGO, but it looked like Source. It didn't look different, right? But then, obviously, jump into CS2, it was like, whoa, okay, this is really pretty now. It looks different. But it's the same thing with Deadlock. When I go back and look at like the oldest footage I've got recorded of Deadlock, it's like, dude, the game looks like it was made on the Source engine. It looks like it was like,
it's just
muted. There's nothing going on. And then you look at it now and it's like, this is Source 2. It's colourful, it's vibrant, everything's unique. It doesn't feel like the models have been dropped in from like, the Gmod toolbox. Yeah. They're all custom. Everything feels real and like it has life.
Yeah, it's a heck of a change in terms of that sort of stuff, because it's just, again, people will kind of forget as well how far as the game has gone in what is technically a short time, because the thing is, they could easily have just not had any access for even till about now, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because they could have kept it to their internal testing team, which these things do exist for like CS even. There is an internal team at Valve where they'll just test their stuff themselves, because that's just how it is. That's how most game dev companies exist. They don't normally have thousands of people being able to say, oh, I don't like this item. Oh, this character's awful. Whatever. They just normally rely on their own Q&A.
I think it's also, as we've seen with whatever the new one that came out is, Jeff Knightley's favourite game, High Guard. There you go. That came out. People didn't really like it. No. It's basically just like Apex Legends with horses, from what I saw. So instantly they did the classic where like they've review bombed it. It's dead on Steam. Even though the devs have seen it like clambering to be like, no, we're actually going to fix this stuff. Like, we do want to update the game. We're not just going to abandon it. People have got so used to a game coming out, it flops on day one, it gets review bombed, and then they kill the servers in like a week. Whereas I think Deadlock is proof of like the player base has gone up and down so many times, but Valve never waver. They're like, well, we know this is going to be gold in the end, so we're just going to keep going. Where I think people expect stuff, if it doesn't bang on day one, that's it. People just go, it's dead. Like, people throw around the dead game a lot these days.
Well, that's the patience, right? Like, there's so many games now available at your fingertips. At least, like, 20 years ago, it's like, I've bought this game. I now have it on disc. I have to put the disc in. I can't refund this now, either, because, again, that wasn't really an option back then. No. You just you'd have to live with it. You bought this. This is your bad. You should have checked better. But also, you just accept, maybe it will get better. And most of the time it did, because they'd update it. Yeah. Obviously, I guess a good example, actually, a comparison that probably a current day versus, like, probably 20 years now, actually. Spore.
Oh, right? Yeah.
You remember when that came out? It had such a big run-in from, what's his name? Peter Molyneux, right? It was him that did the God games or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Spore came out. It had such hype, incredible hype. That got review bombed in those days, but obviously people couldn't exactly just like
there was nothing you could do.
No, it was just you bought it now. So unlucky, you just have a game that you don't like, and then years later, it actually was good. There was no problems. Yeah. It was like, I'm gonna give them time.
Well, that was also it was the classic where like it follows on from, obviously it was way more drastic back in the day, where it was like if you bought Diablo 2, you had to wait and hope you'd get an expansion. Because otherwise, that was it. That's all you ever got. There wasn't DLC. There wasn't like content updates. And then with Spore, it was kind of the same thing, where it was like came out, they kept working on it. Then they dropped like big DLCs at the time that gave you all these extra things. But it was always just expansions. You know, that was the way you made a game good back then. Whereas now, I think it's just like the hot fix is such a different term to what it was. Back then it was like, we've made it boot on Windows 7. Whereas now it's like, we've changed the entire game's balance. Enjoy. Like, I think the landscape is just so drastically different. But like you say, I think people have just got a lot easier to jump to a decision, because everything is quick these days. Like attention spans are shorter. People want the gratification now. They want it right now, Ben.
Yeah, especially with the 2 hours, the Steam refund window. So if you really don't like a game, you can refund it, which I would have loved to know, like, would, not Deadlock necessarily, but like, if it wasn't Valve behind the game, would people have given the same patience to it? Because obviously there's a lot about living off of your reputation, right? Which Valve only produce bangers if you forget about Artifact. Because there's a lot of things which can be. Yeah, that was a mistake. Fine, like no worries. You can miss. Could have been better.
It was still a good idea. It just went wrong. They shouldn't have made you pay for cards. And also, we'll skip over Underlords, because Underlords was secretly
Underlords was good.
Yeah,
but people just didn't. I think they just got unlucky that TFT actually was better.
That were wrong
as well, though.
Well, look. All I'll say is, all right. I played TFT once. I thought it sucked. I still play Underlords on every flight to any event ever to this day. It's still sick. Like, Underlords was the best. People just didn't realise better.
That do that.
There is a very small community of people that still obsess over Underlords. I think Slacks likes it, Anders likes it, and me. And then I haven't heard anyone else ever talk about it. At least a dozen
other people.
Yeah, literally 4 of us. Like...
But but TFT, at least, because you're not exactly a Dota person either. But it was like the Dota characters though, which was like, I like the style what I'm doing here, the auto chess, whatever. But like, would
it was
Valve
just the theme was fun.
Yeah, the theme was cool.
Yeah.
Would Valve have the same background protection, if somebody else made it? Because also the game company would have not covered them either.
I think that's the other bit, is the fact that you always have that benefit of, at least they've not got to answer to a board of shareholders. They've not got to convince someone, look, we're going to build all this data, we're going to make Deadlock unbelievable, so that when we do finally say it's out, not only can we guarantee it's great, but we can go even further than that. Whereas most people, it's like, well, look, we need you to ship it 2 weeks early. And if it does bad, you're all getting fired. So it's like, well, okay, the modern games industry is just very, very kind of kneecappy in that sense, where they've not helped themselves. Yeah,
to be honest, but also very results based instead of just your own internal opinions on it don't matter. The bottom line is now the only thing that matters, which is what it is. Obviously, Valve, they've always been renowned for the ethic of, we just let people, employees work on what projects they want to work on because they trust that they're good at what they do, which they are. Obviously, CS fans will have a different opinion purely on the fact of the amount of updates. But at the same time, I'm not that, as a CS player, I'm not that bothered because I've seen some of the Dota patches that come out and they drastically change the game. And sometimes it's for the bad, like for the worse, whatever. Sometimes it just breaks the style of thinking. I know Dota's a very different game, but sometimes less is good also, which Deadlock also had a few months where it was less. Obviously, people, again, weren't very patient, though. I mean, the Christmas, the big patch, that stuff.
Yeah, I think it's weird because I guess people got so used to this idea of like, oh, they're going to be doing all this stuff every time. But obviously, they told us, like, going into 2025, where they were like, look, we can't feasibly... They went from 1 week, brand new patch, to 2 weeks, brand new patch, so where they were like, look, we can't feasibly just keep doing this for the sake of shipping patches. We want to... Now we've got the game to a state where we're kind of happy with the core mechanics. We want to make it better and give you tangible, big updates. And I think since then, like, everything we've got has been unreal. They're still shipping good balanced patches. They're still shipping, huge major patches. But yeah, I think people get a little bit sucked into the idea of the live service, like the Fortnite mindset of you got to get something every week or it's not fun.
Yeah, it's the... like going back to what you said, though, they did so. Yoshi specifically said, we're not going to do it as frequently. Yeah. And some people kind of forgot that was said as well. And if you hear murmurs, big patch, maybe it's going to take longer than 2 weeks because it's a big patch. And then people finally get the patch and they're like, oh, wow, there's so much stuff. It's like, well, yeah. That's what was said.
That's what they were doing.
That was the whole point. That's why it took long. What do you mean? And even then, it wasn't patch notes. It was literally visual big.
Yeah.
The big one only. The big patch was 2 days ago, right? Or yesterday.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you've got to take into consideration. It's like it's so many different people working on so many different things, trying to got to make all the art, implement all the art, make all the voices, hire the voice actors, get them in the studio, change stuff, make all the new heroes. Like, it's so much stuff they've got to do, and then obviously, like you say, internal test it before they even feel comfortable being like, okay, we're going to give it to you guys to then do the second test of like, let's let the community play with it. So yeah, it's a lot of just hoops you've got to jump through that I think people aren't really ready for.
And not to mention some things getting through the loopholes without being found, but that's issues. Which, to be fair to Deadlock, actually, as far as like actual game breaking or anything like that, I feel like I've probably only seen like maybe one ever in terms of like actually like, oh, this is broken, it shouldn't happen. I think it's actually done really, really well at avoiding that stuff.
It's also, the weird bit is with Deadlock is I think it feels like, although Valve normally kind of, they're always there, it never feels like they sort of, if something goes wrong Counter-Strike, if it's a major fix, it'll be shipped pretty quickly. Maybe a couple days, at most if it's a weekend. Whereas with Deadlock, it feels like they literally never sleep. They never have time off. It can be New Year's, it can be, Thanksgiving, people's anniversaries at the company, and somehow they're still just shipping a bug fix if they notice something's broken, like 4 hours at most after someone reports it. So they've been like ridiculously quick. It's even like with this that's going on with the content updates we've been getting, you're getting ridiculous like hot fixes every day. You play a game, you have to restart the client 'cause there's another fix, and usually they're changing elements. They've been adding stuff to the map even still now, like they're changing some of the assets. There's new things popping up, and they're just not telling people because obviously they're just kind of working away at it now, which is, it's mad how much stuff we're just constantly getting, where they must be working themselves so thin. But I guess it's just passion of like, we love this game, we just want to keep doing it.
Yeah, I think it goes back to the passion bit, right? If you enjoy what you're doing, it doesn't feel like you're working, is the simple way of thinking about it, which it applies the same from a playing perspective. If you're playing, you'll be like, well, okay, I'll play one game, and then you check your time after 2 or 3 games, not realising, oh, it's been 2 hours. Like, Jesus, okay, hang on. But obviously you enjoyed that time, you got sucked into it, and the time didn't matter, which that can still apply to making things. I know with passion side, even recently, I've been building is very nerdy at its base. I was using Google Sheets, making a whole data set, building an algorithm thing which automatically will input stuff. I found it awesome, but obviously I spent 8 hours doing it.
Yeah.
Without realizing it was 8 hours. But I was enjoying it, so it was like, oh, I'm seeing result. And that's what they're doing. They're changing things, like, oh, this is working. When I change this gets added. And then they get the other side of it where you release the patch. You then get people saying, this looks awesome. Oh, great. That's even more, positive assurance of, this is what I do is actually valued.
Yeah.
Which,
See, I think I like that as well, because it's like, I think it's one of those where I really like the idea of people being especially vocal with Deadlock in the sense that it's like you can tell how much what's probably a small team, because it's Valve, they're a small company. Like in reality, I know that they earn unbelievable amounts of money, but they don't hire that many people. They just hire people that they believe can do their job well and have cool ideas, and they let them. So it's probably not even that many people putting a lot of blood, sweat and tears into this game. You want them to see, like, oh, your work is awesome. I love this hero. I love this voice. I love this gameplay mechanic. And I think at least, like, to a degree, the community's pretty good at that, where a lot of people were like, they make art of all the characters. Everyone's excited. It was one of the reasons why I was really kind of sad, I think, where, like you say, people forget this is a beta. So when you've got people that are trying to make their career out of, I'm leaking the Deadlock patch, it's like, dude, what are you doing? Yeah, no shit. They're updating the game. That's not a secret. They are making a new hero. Like, well, yeah, bloody obviously. Like, what do you expect? Like, I hate that, because you imagine if you're like someone at Valve, when people are tweeting AI-generated versions of leaks, if you're like, dude, I spent years making that model, and you've tweeted a ChatGPT redrawing of it, I'd hate these people. So, yeah, I find that stuff really bizarre. It's like, just wait, have some suspense. Like, I want to open my PC one day and go, what the fuck, the whole game's changed,
That used to be the excitement in the past as well. It was literally, you would be like, wait, what? They've done what? Which, like, to be fair to CS, I remember recently, this is like HLTV Awards, 3 weeks ago, I was speaking to Ash, like, coach for what was Gamer Legion, outside the bar, and then suddenly someone comes over and just says, have you seen the latest patch notes? Because they'd removed train and put a news back in the pool. And it was just like, Ash and I would look at each other like, the fuck? Like, but nobody knew.
No, of course, yeah.
Like, they keep things secretive, but it was like...
That's the fun of it.
That's fun.
Like, yeah. Because you'll notice that's the suspense as well, where people do get excited, and it's like, will we get X? Will this change? Like, whoa, new heroes. Like, it was dope that, I think nearly everything kind of got a bit spoiled with the new heroes, with people tweeting stuff and data mining things, or however they find out about this stuff. But it's sad, because obviously they're such awesome designs that are so unique from one another. I think we got some of the more sort of creative looks where you can see people just kind of went like balls to the walls with stuff. Like Rem, for example. If you never even knew that this guy was coming, and you've opened up your PC, first time you've seen him, you'd probably be like, holy shit, this is awesome. Like, you got this random little dude, his camera's in a different place, he's small, he's sleepy. Like, I think they nailed it with sort of trying different things. And even that goes one step further of, like, no one saw the fact they were going to add a whole tunnel system to the map coming. Yeah. Like, clearly they had that idea in the background.
That was one of the things, like, showing a friend recently. He hadn't, like, it was James, for example. He hadn't booted Deadlock since around Christmas time. So you open the game suddenly, and you're like, I was like, check this new character out. And I was like, but follow me. And I took him to the hideout, to the vent. I was like, he was like, wait, what?
Oh, yeah.
Because obviously it's like, hang on.
Yeah.
What do you mean you can go through these little vents?
These little air vents. Like,
Like, what? It changes the game completely. But this isn't going back to the point you were just saying about the leaking and stuff. It's not to say people shouldn't speculate, though. It's fine to speculate and create like buzz, as in like, what do you think's gonna happen? But people leaking, it's just a bit boring, really, when that happens.
I mean, it's just at that point, it's effectively like you're stealing someone's work to try and get like 10 cents of Twitter ad revenue. And that's where it's like, what are you doing? Like, you're ruining people's enjoyment for your own personal gain. So yeah, I don't vibe with that. I think it's very weird. Like it's, you imagine for these game companies, they hate it. I remember for a start, we did. There was a Red Bull Race to World First years ago, right? And we were doing World of Warcraft. It was like whatever the latest expansion was, and we were casting that. And for some reason, everyone was like discussing this like leaked next expansion. And I remember I had the laptop because I was hosting. I'm sat there and I'm in this Discord group. And basically, the product manager for the event had his Discord logged in because it was his laptop and he'd given it to me to like pull up stats and move the show along and banter. I was doing like BuzzFeed quizzes because I'm a great host. And suddenly I just see in this Discord group that's like Red Bull X Blizzard. It's just. Why are they discussing leaks? What are they talking about on the show? Please, can you tell them to stop? And I had to like try and rein everyone in. Where I was like, right, guys, well, if you had to be either a Hufflepuff or a Ravenclaw, which World of Warcraft class would you be? And it was just like, why are you derailing the chat? And I was like, no, guys, come on, come on now. Like,
it's almost like you should listen to what the host is. If the host's trying to put you in a different direction. Follow because
come on, everyone.
A reason.
Yeah.
let's
stop.
Hang about it. Like, hold on.
Yeah. That was also the same event. To be fair, I got told off by one of the heads of Red Bull UK. So they came in, they're watching the show, they were loving it. They said it was really good, really funny. He came over to me after the segment. He went, "Just one thing. There was a little bit you did there, where when you gave everyone a can of Red Bull, which was great by the way, because you did it super naturally. Like that's how we like our brand being shown off. We don't want people to be like, oh, Red Bull. If you're thirsty, have a drink. That's great." But he went, "But you did refer to it as full fat or semi-skimmed." And I was like, yeah. I was a little joke about milk, and he was like, "Yeah, please don't do that."
Yeah, we're big rivals of milk.
yeah, exactly. Cows, Red Bull. We're in the same.
We're rivaling that
energy sphere. We've been trying to breed the super Red Bull cow. It's not really working. So
the big cow.
There's no dairy. We're trying to get them to move. Oh, mate. But yeah, it just creased me. But it's one of those, I think most people don't realise, because it's like, obviously, there's two sides of it, like, for these people, this is their job. It's like if I was sat there and I edited an episode of Patch Notice for like 20 hours, putting all these little details in, and then someone had recorded me from over my shoulder and uploaded it to YouTube, I'd be fuming. I'd be like, what are you doing?
Daisy did that.
Yeah, I know. Like, what the hell? Why have you done that, Daisy? You've leaked it early. Look, iPhone camera from the background. Like, Patch Notice 4K rip, but it's just on a Nokia.
And occasionally she just asks someone like small to walk past the camera. Just so you're at the cinema.
Walks in front. Yeah, get the real experience of like bootlegs. Wait, that's the thing. That's what it was. That was leaks back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be like you're in McDonald's and a man comes over to you with a small bag and all these unnamed DVDs, and he's like, "Do you want War of the Worlds?" And you're like, "No, bro. Like, I'm fine. Right. Yeah, I don't need your DVD rip.
I'll stick to playing Source again.
Yeah.
I'm alright.
I'm going to go home and I'm going to play 15 hours of Trouble in Terrorist Town. Leave me alone."
Actually, to be fair, Source Peak would have been AMAG Texture 2. I think that's
true.
Play that and repeat for no reason. Run out T-spawn, get one tapped, do it again.
Yeah,
just over and over again.
That was the classic.
Just bore.
And then disconnect, find a zombie mod server, play that until you're bored. Yeah. ZE _ maps. Right, it's unreal.
I definitely agree though. Like, the people do forget the human aspect of that big picture thing. Which I get it though, because obviously they're clearly just that excited about the fact. Because obviously Twitter clout is one thing.
Yeah.
But also people want to be the person to break the news and be like, "Did you see what he just said? He just said that this character..." And it's like... I don't agree with it, but it is what it is. This will happen. Like, also it will happen.
It's just the nature of it. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Until
like,
whatever.
I think it's just especially weird, because like I said, it's one of those where it's like if you said, Apple are making a new iPhone. That's not really a leak. Like, yeah, they probably are. They're probably that's what they do. Like,
they've made 17 before this.
Yeah,
they've suddenly stopped.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
That would be the leak. That would be a leak.
Be like, whoa,
they're stopping.
Yeah.
Oh crap!
There's no more. There's no more iPhone. They're gone. Yeah. Whereas that's why I find it odd, because it's like, yeah, I mean, the game, like, it's called a early development, like, technical playtest or whatever. That's what it's listed as on everything. You boot up the game, and it used to be like, yeah, by the way, this is a test. It asks you in game, are you having fun? Should we change this? Like, theorizing that there's going to be something new that just seems bizarre. Like, yeah, obviously there's going to be something new. Like, that's what they're doing.
Yeah, people forget that, right? It's the going back to what we said before. People expect it to be a full game because they're so used to other games being greenlit, and it's like, oh, this game should be proper now, but it's not. Which, fine, but I mean, I guess probably going to delve into the patch that did come through though 2 days ago, right? Which I don't know if you've played much of the normal games since that came out. I haven't. I've only played Street Brawl because I'm working. I am Krakow at the same time at the moment, so it's a bit limited. Street Brawl gives me a fast. I can play, fast games. Go off the rip. Which, I guess if we want to start from the top of that, might be a good idea. The hero banning, which I was waiting for that.
Yes. Now, I know a lot of people work. See, it's interesting because it's one of those where I kind of got myself convinced that the pick 3 system that is now technically pick 4 in some regards, if you're in a party of 3 or 4 players, I just thought until we got like, a competitive mode again, like an actual differentiation of both, that's just how it would be. I thought we'd always just have pick 3, and that's what Valve wanted. It seemed like that was the idea that Deadlock was going to have that made it a bit different. Like, learn 3 heroes you're comfortable with at a minimum, you'll get one of them. Enjoy. I don't know how I feel about the way they've done the bans. Some people don't seem to like it. I've seen some people think it's a good idea. I think it's a good idea to have a bit more of a draft system in Deadlock when it's got more heroes, because at the rate they're releasing them, we're going to get up there pretty quickly. But yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on the bans?
So, I'm trying to think, what was the... I'll look this up in a second, because I'm trying to compare to what League of Legends used to have, because that was the problem of, like, Dota and League, they both had the draft system, but they also had the blind pick system where you can play what you want, which I think is what you're getting at, where it's like, I thought it was going to be like that until there is a comp mode.
Yeah.
Which, I think that's fair. I think there should be a non-ban version too. But I'm also the opinion where I wouldn't mind the idea of playing the same picks against each other in that mode. Which would make sense again, because why not? It's a bit more fun. You might have, like, imagine Dynamo versus Dynamo full on, because it'd be fun. It'd be different. I'm kind of, like I said, I was waiting for it in a way of I wanted it, because I think Street Brawl forced it due to how the meta was developing. Even though it's bad to say meta, but there was 3 characters or 4 characters that were in every game. Bebop, 7, McGuinness was one of them as well, borderline. Now
McGuinness
Graves,
for the double
honestly.
heal. Graves is actually probably, like, in regards to just both game modes, like, from when filming that hero showcase, and, like, thankfully I got her in a couple different games, in Brawl and in Main, but it's the fact that, like, it's just ridiculous how much shove she has. But I think it's just in the sense it's the oppressive nature, and in Brawl that's just amplified. Like, McGuinness is unreal because, put down the wall, double heal, turrets, slap you in the face with the ult, there you go. Like, I've got control of everything. I need to shred the objective. She's just got so much push. It feels more like you're playing an RTS with her kit than you are playing sort of, a MOBA. I know in other MOBAs there are heroes that work that way. I think kind of Undying in Doughty is similar, right, where he spawns stuff and pushes out the lane.
And then Chen is the other comparison people made, right, where it's like, you've got your monsters to control, which but you're not controlling
he takes
them
like
really.
No, he just gets like a posse of jungle camps, doesn't he? I think he like rounds them up or something.
You'd get like the ones that have stuns, so you can chain them together if you can.
Yeah.
Which, that's the fun part about that. But I'm okay with the RTS feeling of it. It's just the fact that I think we're used to McGuinness and stuff, so it doesn't feel as bad, right? Which I think someone mentioned this on one of the Reddit threads where they're saying, like, don't forget, we are just brand new seeing this character. Some people don't know what to do when it comes at you. Which I remember the first guy I was playing against her was like, these deadheads are just following. I'm dashing away trying to get away, but they are still just following me. I was like, what do I do? Technically speaking, which...
Mate, so that was the thing. Even with like all my research, because obviously there's no resources for this stuff as well. It's like the heroes come out, you just got to figure it out yourself, right? So it's like everything I'm doing playing these heroes, it was interesting realizing, like, okay, so in terms of how a gun works, like clearly there's some weird scaling going on there, where it's like if you hit 2 players when you've got an AP investment into Essence Theft, you can then combo that with Split Shot to hit obviously upwards of 6 players and get the Essence Theft steal. But if you then use Ricochet, because it counts each individual tether as a tag of damage, Ricochet's proccing upwards of the amount of players you're on. So if it's on 1 player, it'll proc 1 Ricochet. If it's on 2 of them, procs 2. If you get Split Shot, it's going to proc 6 times. So Ricochet's going off drastically. And I saw people that were like, her gun sucks. And it's like, bro, you buy like 3 items. Like literally, Inhibitor, like you just get Leech maybe instead. Yeah. Split Shot and Ricochet. And
that's not Lucky Shot though, right? That's not Lucky Shot.
Yeah.
It's not the carry fun items, is it?
Yeah.
Because that's what people look at when they think gun. They're not thinking utility gun.
Why am I buying the health gun items? And it's like because it works with how her gun works. Like
I imagine Siphon Bullets behaves the same, like in terms of like the bounce tick theory, it would be the same sort of behavior, which people don't know that either, right? I've seen people do the bullet and the spirit side as well, which I'm kind of torn between what her place is right now, because obviously some characters you know from the get-go, you're like, oh, this is a carry. Like, this person will run a game. Some other characters, it's like, they could, but maybe not built for that. So it's like, I guess Drifter is a recent one. It's like, he could run a game, but you require, like, X, Y, and Z to happen. Otherwise, this will be very difficult, to do. So it's like, I don't know where she sits right now.
I think it's weird, because she is one of these heroes where I think it feels like old school Deadlock in the sense you can build her in like 4 different ways and they are all viable from one another, but like you said, it's drastically different in play style and has to suit how you approach it. You can either have a bit more of a sort of like passive, you're not necessarily rushing for souls or trying to steal a lot of the resources on the map, and invest more in sort of just wave push, use her ultimate to shove stuff up, be like a McGinnis split pusher type but in a different style where you're setting people up, being a bit more support focused, like use grasping hands to catch people, push the wave out, just be a bit of an AFK farmer. But I think it's also, she hits more where it's like you're basically like a drain tank DPS. You can just steal HP off people, 1v1 people, and I saw people saying that where it's like, oh, if you're a mouse 1 hero, just rush her down, you can kill her instantly. It's like, bro, if you're a mouse 1 hero and I've got 3 AP in my ult, I'm slapping you in the face with my like borrowed decree. You take 3 bomb hits straight to the face. That's going to do increasing damage. Then I'm just going to steal all my HP back that you try and drain off me. Yeah. I feel like she just does a lot very well, but people are looking at the gaps in her kit as drawbacks, where it's like, dude, yeah, she has low stamina, but if you build a bit more movement speed, she is real bad in terms of the chase. She can run you down, and as long as, like, if you struggle with aiming, just juke people, like, just move around. Yeah. Your gun's not going to miss,
No, it's. I'm trying to think. What's it? I think is it Lucio from Overwatch? I guess has the similar-ish feeling of the. It's like it's not a perfectly straight aim thing. It kind of like it drags a little bit like this, right? It's wavy, which means you do get a lot of benefit of. Yeah, if you're not feeling perfect, you can just do that, and it won't be a problem. Like this will be fine.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, does the ult appear on the mini map for the other team? It doesn't, right?
No, I think it does. I think it's basically anything she summons. I'm not sure about Deadheads.
Color, right?
But yeah, you get a lime green pop-up on the minimap.
Okay.
So you can see she's like, okay, this is where the gravestone is.
You'll see it spawn first thing. Whereas
then you'll see the trickle of green dots coming towards you. So you can figure out, like, okay, she's hidden it round the back of like the walker here. But the problem with that is that I've found is I do think that is a weird choice that you've made it 2 heavy melee hits to kill it. Nothing else. Because obviously they spawn from that source. If they spawn further out in like, an area around it, maybe it'd be okay, but it feels like the fact they spawn directly on top of it, you basically, if you mess up your timing, you are taking damage guaranteed.
Yeah. And sometimes as soon as that full upgrade is actually on it, it's sizable damage for what is, you're trying to counter it, which I guess is that argument to be made of you should have to take damage to get rid of someone's ult. I guess maybe.
Yeah,
But maybe instead of doing that, have it keep it melee, but then spawn them further away, as you said, but still have it explode when you destroy it, and do I don't know, 1 ghoul's worth of pop. So there is a penalty to hitting it. Maybe I don't know. It'd be interesting to see
something like where even if you did it, where if I guess the other way that might balance it weirdly would be if you made it so inside the radius, if someone's standing within a small meter radius of the actual gravestone, it can't summon them. Like it won't summon them at that period. Yeah. But then when it's destroyed, it will summon either the 3 that it has that it should spawn on tier 3, or 1 that it spawns on death. So you're still taking at least 1 bit of damage from it. That's not negated, but it can't just mass spawn them in front of you if you stand on it. So it's more of a mechanic of like, okay, I've got to push the graves and actually destroy the gravestone. I know I'm going to take a bit of damage, but then you couldn't just slam it into like a mid-boss fight and instantly get, the huge wave clear of just damage on everyone.
Yeah, it'll be strange to see. I mean, obviously this is first insight of it into the public view, I suppose, right?
Yeah.
I'm curious, because obviously I've only seen it in Street Brawl, right? So it's varying. I think it's clearly, obviously, one of the top picks for that now.
Oh, yeah.
Which, I guess convert this talk into now the fact that they're balancing for Street Brawl, which I think is a bit of a waste of time, personally. I think it's kind of a bit strange to have to do it, because it's now you're balancing 2 separate games.
Yeah.
To me, at least. That this feels like you're splitting what a limited pool of devs. You're now splitting the resources even more, which I maybe they don't have to put much effort into it, which, to be fair, some of the changes were literally like, put something down by 10 seconds or change the ult by 30. It's not big.
It's just value changes, yeah.
But it's still, you're having to keep an eye on the data there, which at times, to be honest, is this me maybe thinking more of the ARAM background of what used to be, even before ARAM existed, we used to do it in, what was the game mode called? In Dominion on League. We used to do it where we'd only go bottom and we'd fight in that lane only. It was the exact same thinking. We'd all random, we'd go bottom. That's just what it was.
Yeah.
Nobody ever thought, let's change the stats for these characters in this. It was just, damn, I got this character. This character isn't good for this. That's unlucky. I'll be able to play somebody else in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I think it should be random for Street Brawl, but I understand people not wanting to be. I guess if you want to play one game, you might as well try and pick what you can.
Yeah, I think it comes down to. I was thinking about this before. I think basically what they needed to do that would, again, it would be more of a player-based fragmentation, but it seemed like the initial idea might have been they wanted to make a mode that allowed players to learn a hero or items in a quick way, right? Yeah. But now it's just become its own like fun game mode, and I think that's more what people want. So they're doing this stuff where it feels like it's pivoting already to just be its own thing. Yeah, and that's fine. Yeah. But then if we're doing that, you lose that element of a new player being able to play it to learn. And
it's not the same.
So then
characters.
I think... No, exactly. But then I would say, why don't they just make a game mode that is legitimately 2v2, 1 lane, laning phase, and you just play the laning phase when the Guardian's destroyed. Yeah. That's it, yeah. You know what I mean? And like, it works perfectly normal, but it's just the laning phase. Because then you could jump into that, it's kind of low stakes. It's like Wingman in CS. Yeah. It might not be as fun, but it would be more educational to offer that. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Because then Street Brawl can go even further. Legendary items, we could get more of them. You could add modifiers. I'd like it if they did like what they do in Left 4 Dead. Well, did in Left 4 Dead. Where you had the mutations, where it'd be like, everything would change randomly each kind of week or month or whatever it was. That'd be cool. If, like you say, it was like, one day you log in, it's all random. One day it's mirror matchup. One day it's like everyone's got low gravity. I think just random stuff like that could be kind of fun. And then you just need an educational mode as a separate element.
Yeah, I like the idea of the 2v2 thing, to be fair. Because that's like I say, it's low effort also from their perspective, because they just send you down one lane, 2v2. I guess you'd probably introduce the hero banning to that as well, just for the fact of some of them would be, as much as like you won't think that someone will want to just be a really competitive, I want to win everything arsehole. These will exist in every game mode.
Yeah.
I've had some of them in Street Pro where they are still flaming the same as they do in normal games. And it's like, all right. Because I just reply to them saying, Street Pro, mate.
Yeah,
like,
it's a fun mode. Like, it's just like, it's supposed to be chill. Like, put a little bit of music on, like, enjoy yourself. Yeah, it's not that stressful. I think it's weird as well because I've noticed some people being even more aggro in Street Brawl because they're so convinced, like, you know, my win rate, and it's like, mate, it doesn't exist. Like, there's no ranking at all. It doesn't affect anything. Like, getting one more loss on your games played doesn't mean anything. Like, just have a bit of fun. Like, play who you want to play. But yeah, I suppose as well, the other way you could do that then, you could counter it instead by that laning matchup. You could offer, like, preset duos where you could have, like, you know,
suggested
let's say maybe like you throw out like a Vindictor and a Warden, and then you try and encourage people to, like, combo your tethers, stuff like that. You know, like little combos that can work, or direct lane counters where, like, you know, you have two heroes that counter the other two heroes, and you've got to figure that out. Maybe that would be a way to sort of teach players mechanics to a degree.
I guess that would be forcing people down the paths, right, which maybe they'd avoid. I like the thinking of it, though, as in, like, it's like what used to be just dry running strats in practice games, for example, in CS.
Yeah.
We used to play, it was one of the Italian teams, like in Go, it was Googly coaching them.
Oh, yeah.
So Amy would speak to him and say, we're planning to just dry run this one strat over and over again. I'm telling you in advance, but obviously don't tell your team, because that way you guys can prepare versus it, and we also get to prepare how do we play versus, like, you know, what do we do? Which you wouldn't want to be thrown into something from one side when it's like, I don't want to be in this position.
Yeah.
Because obviously the problem with if you try and push people into playing, let's say, Warden, Vindictor, what if they're new, but, like, they don't want to play those two characters? You know, like, that thinking of, like,
okay,
queue times would go crazy as well as the other issue.
But then what if it had a half-time swap when the Guardian was destroyed, but then the two heroes just changed? Yeah, so you play the heroes that are weak against that and need to, like, counter it uphill. Then you get swapped to the other side. Do it that way, in the sense that it is, like, you know, more of a sort of, you're trying to learn. I suppose the third round might be a little bit more awkward to balance if it's a BO3. But I'm trying to think of a way that you could... Yeah, maybe. All Dynamo. Like, it just throws it out there.
No
cooldown
mode. Let's have it.
Yeah. But see, that's what I was thinking as well, because I thought, like, even with Brawl, if you added those modifiers, you could do it where you could just be like, it's only melee items for every hero, you know?
As long as it's not the legendary one.
Wow, yeah.
So
runed gauntlets where you just fly across the map.
Unbelievable. I had it on page and I had no other melee items. I was just sat there, heavy melee. I'm just watching people press parry and, like, what are you going to do?
I'm just going to punch through you. Yeah, it's just going to go through.
And it was still doing like 700. I was like, why is this doing this much?
Yeah,
as long as that's not that. I mean, maybe it should be. Maybe everybody gets it.
But then again, that's what I mean. If you just gave everyone punch and parry and that's it.
Yeah.
Like, you just beat
it's like
each other up. I don't know.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
That thought.
But I think you could. You could have, like, yeah, see? And then you just rotate it. So it's like, maybe it's a couple days. And then if you don't love it, you've got bored of it after a couple of days. Oh, what's the new one? You know?
Yeah.
Could be a way to keep it fresh.
I think I'd like the idea of the, like, ability draft coming in before that, because like, I know you were a big fan of the ability draft style of thinking, but again, I guess if we're already splitting Street Brawl from being the same game fully, ability draft starts being a bit weird when it's not the same abilities and you're drafting again, which I don't know. I mean, I guess Valve will always have the choice because they know how well players like to make custom stuff, because obviously Dota's got such an extensive custom game library, right? Remember the old Dynasty Warriors or the Tower Defense we used to play, which
Tower Defense
modes,
everything.
How that looked. Like that was not Dota in any way, but
no,
it was built in the game because they could.
Yeah.
Like
I do. I've got hundreds of like all my hours in Dota are in those modes.
Things.
It was like the like seasonal event PVE modes, the tower defense modes. What was it Pudge Wars?
Yeah,
like all of that stuff. And
Man's
yeah. That's what I mean. Like, they nailed this. Even when they used to do it in CS for a bit with some of the operations, where they do wacky little modes they put in, that was really fun. And I said this ages ago, but like, I think the pinnacle of like once Deadlock's out and everything's done, if they give people like those tools to make all of that stuff built into the game, like Dota and like people have with like editing stuff with Pulse and CS, so you can make all these weird modes. I think it will blow up massively, and you'd never even have to play a game of regular Deadlock in your life. You could just play Deadlock as your like sandbox game to play other games, you know?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, I don't know if you'd seen or looked into anything with the recent CS update. I think it was like a month ago, 2 months ago, because they enabled the JavaScript custom editing stuff, which again has opened the room. I played Warcraft mod on CS recently, because that's now back available.
Yeah.
And it plays the exact same as it did 20 years ago in Source. And people enjoy it. Like, there's a very active community over there, which I think it was... wasn't Flom, but one of the NA streamers, for example, was playing.
Yeah.
Because it's just something simple where it's like, if you enable these tools, people will make stuff, and it'll be awesome. It's just...
I know, like, unironically as well, like, most people that are younger won't remember, but, like, legit, like, hands down to this day, I still believe the only reason Valorant even exists is because it just took what Warcraft mod in Source was, and basically tried to make it a game, where they were like, oh, you can have a bit more depth and kind of spells, and he is a warlock, but it is still just run around and shoot. You know, the
core game is still a shooter. It's just you can do some things with some spells.
Yeah,
I guess spells is the word. I guess it's skills, whatever you want to reword it to, which they do. Yeah, I mean, it's got that. What's the best word for it? The reach to just do a lot. But obviously, I guess going back to the thinking of the standard mode street, I feel like it should still be the same characters. In my mind, it should still be the same balancing. I know that there's like a reduced cooldown. You start with 6 points, right? It has to be different because of that anyway. But maybe not the balancing entirely. I don't know. I'm talking.
Yeah. I think it's odd as well because obviously I guess it's hard because we've never got to experience it where everything is 1-to-1. Even to this day, where it's like they didn't tell anyone, but everyone sort of found out, you know, like, oh, okay, it's 60% effectiveness on healing. But even then, that didn't really work. Like, I found items that it didn't apply to and some abilities. And then with this round of balance patches, they said, okay, we've gutted the 40% effectiveness on healing. We've gotten rid of that. It didn't really work. So we're just going to give people 100% healing effectiveness again. But then made changes to heroes. So it's odd that, like, I don't know what like the purest form of it would feel like if we just got here's Street Brawl with nothing at all done to it other than just the ideas of the game mode. Try that for a week, you know?
Yeah. Maybe it would be... Maybe they wouldn't have needed the balance changes if it was just random, though.
Yeah,
because people wouldn't have been complaining every day about, oh, the beat-ups goes ult up in 10 seconds and he just sits there above the middle bridge and presses his ult. What do I do? Cool. Yeah, maybe, but also people do just like to play random modes anyway.
Yeah,
because it's a good way to try stuff. Which, going back to what you said, where it helps people learn stuff they haven't played before.
Yeah.
For example, I now have a game played on every character, which I didn't have before Street Brawl because I knew those characters I knew I wasn't going to like, which. Now I've played them, and now I confirm I do not like them. Which, fine, but you know, I played them.
It's interesting though, because I think I saw a lot of people that had that kind of same experience where with the Christmas voting event.
Yeah,
it was like obviously I did all of my games and all my heroes because I needed my sweet baby snowballs. And then I saw a lot of people that were like, I've never played any of these heroes in my life, but some people actually found new heroes that they like, but obviously they would never play. You know, they were like, why would I ever pick Yamato? And then they play Yamato, and they're like, oh, actually, this is really fun. Like, I didn't realize this was enjoyable. And it's like, well, yeah, you could just try it, man. It's a beta. Like, no one's going to look at your stats and judge you. Well, people do, but
people do.
Who cares? You know?
Yeah. I mean, a Pocket was one of them for me, which I'm a die-hard hater of Pocket, but I ended up playing Pocket and I was like, it's kind of fun, actually.
Yeah.
But also, I'm still against Pocket. I'm still like, this is fun because it's fairly simple to what to do in terms of how to win. But I was just like, I still disagree with it. It's like a evil feeling.
Oh yeah, like the logical flow of their kit is actually really fun. Like like you say, when playing, it's good and it feels fun. There's a lot of movement options. You can do loads of stuff. But playing against it, it just feels very oppressive. I think that's amplified in Spree Brawl because it's just like, okay, cloak wave clear, everything's dead. Okay, get out of jail free card with a case. The ult as well. Although actually, like, as
the
much
ult
as
doesn't
the ult
feel
kind
as
of sucks
crazy.
In Brawl,
actually,
it doesn't feel that good. Yeah.
The only time it felt good for me was when I the legendary item, I think it's the Concoction, is the name of it.
Oh yeah.
I had that with the ult. So I just did. I never actually went into the briefcase. I just stood there like, kill me. You're gonna pop.
Blow up.
You're all gonna pop if you kill me. This is gonna be bad for you. But with the ult on, it was like, oh, this is a guaranteed win then. Like, this is free.
Yeah. Because you just take them down and then blow up.
Everybody else can finally do something after that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. I really liked that they brought the legendary thing in. I think that was like items in general. It was a really good way to add some flavor to what could have just been a 4v4 game mode. Like, they didn't need to do that. I also, one thing that was added as well this patch, if you random, you get another reroll, which I'm again for because I just random because why not? I'm not wanting to play anybody in a game mode like this. It's not the same game, so
no, exactly.
I will just click random.
Also, I think that's a better way to do it because it's like, at least then it's not they're forcing you, but they are subtly being like, oh, you get a couple more rerolls, like, you know,
was it 250 gold or something like that in Dota if you randomed, which was like, oh, there's a reason to roll the dice here. I might get an extra.
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah, which that reroll could be
huge
value. Like, round 3, you might decide, you might get 2 6.4k items when, that's game changing. Might be the winner. You get a refresher, boom, your team's going to win now. I was like, cool. It's a very small, but might be enough to push people to go there. Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, rerolls are actually like, I think they're more powerful than people realise as well, because it's like,
forget they exist.
Well, you've got to use them as well, because it's like, no matter what the rarity is, say if you get an enchanted item, if you get a legendary, if you re-roll it, it will give you another one 100% of the time.
Oh,
like, it always follows the rarity with the matched rarity on a re-roll. Oh. So if you get a legendary and it sucks, you re-roll it and you'll always get something. Well, maybe get something better.
Yeah, because I re-rolled earlier when I had a legendary on. It was what was it? It was I can't remember it now, but I re-rolled because I was like, this doesn't fit what I'm doing, whatever.
Yeah.
It gave me the charges one, and I was like, I'm playing Pocket.
Yeah.
This isn't really something I want, to be honest. So I was like, this doesn't fit. So I ended up actually choosing not the legendary, which obviously probably a godforsaken thing to say, because you should probably choose the legendary basically every time just for the fact of they're good.
Wait, which legendary was it? Was it the Frostbite Charm or Omnicharge Present?
It was the one that does
pendant.
the charges thing, yeah. The what is it, 6 charges, 70% recharge, right?
Yeah. So the thing about Omnicharge Pendant, God, that's hard to say. The thing that people don't realise about that is where the 2 time team realises you can imbue that on anything, even if it doesn't have charges, and it makes it a charged ability and then gives you those charges.
Oh, okay, that's pretty.
So
yeah.
So it's like insane that you could basically just be like, right, we're just going to have 6 charges of that's what I mean. Or like just cloak. It's crazy, but obviously it doesn't really translate it very well.
But also, just in your mind, you're seeing, I'm seeing the rapid recharge item with a bit of a thing around it. I'm like, oh, well, that's the rapid recharge. So why would I take this on something where I don't want it? Okay, that makes a lot of sense, though. Like, especially because some people might not know that either is the other thing, because it's again, not inherently obvious from just looking at it straight up.
No, yeah.
That will happen a lot anyway with things when they get added, because they'll figure out this wasn't very clear from the get-go, or this needs to be specified more, which obviously you've seen firsthand a lot of the stuff where it doesn't say it does this, but it does, or
You have to just play around with it.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. Is where it's like it works because like obviously making all the patch notice videos and stuff like that. You kind of just like most of it is initially testing like, okay, what does this actually do? What can I do with it? And then I try and play it from the other perspective of like, okay, well if I'm doing this, it's like with the Graves one. As much as I tested with stuff like that, I only realised last night after the balance patch when recording stuff for patch notice that you were saying about like obviously when all the deadheads are coming at you. Mm-hmm. Rather than shoot them, if you just melee them, it kills them all instantly.
Oh, was that just full on?
Yeah, and like, how would I know that?
No.
Like that's the thing. It doesn't tell you that.
No.
And I instinctually, I'm like, well, I'm not gonna. I need to shoot these little things and run away from them. But in reality, you just want to spam melee at them, and it will kill them all, which is crazy, like crazy.
I mean, I guess it makes sense that you can kill them in a different way. I suppose it's just inherently, like I said, you wouldn't think to.
Yeah,
because again, they're not. Well, they're not running at you. Is the main thing,
they're floating,
I think, right?
Like they're in the air. So I'm like, well, they're not in punch radius, I guess. But yeah, that's just the counter. Is like if you got deadheads in close range, just immediately spam melee.
Strange, very strange.
Yeah, which is odd. But yeah, I think otherwise, like a lot of the stuff they changed with Street Brawl was all fairly acceptable. Like, you made the troopers spawn more, the objective decay is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I get what you mean. I think that's the big one of like, are we just going down the road where it's going to become an even more sort of drastically different version of Deadlock than the regular game at this point? I get with the individual tweaks.
I guess I'm coming from that perspective as it. Like with what happened with Ranked, right? Where it's like it split the user base, which was a problem. And that's why they got rid of it, because it was like, well, hang on. We messed things up a bit here. We now have people who want to play normally, and then there's people who want to play competitively, and it's like, oh, we should probably just keep everybody in the same pool, but don't tell them that there is ranks hidden.
Yeah.
But you can choose to opt in to see them if you want to see them. But, is what it is. Which people... There's always going to be a hidden rank. People don't seem to remember.
It was weird because I think at that point it was like 20,000 active players daily. Like it was at a kind of a low point in terms of the initial release, sort of like you can talk about it. Window went down. People sort of stopped playing it as much and pushing it. So it was only like the people like us that were just sitting there playing it every day. It was like, right, well, I'm just going to keep playing Deadlock. But that was like the same 20,000 people. Yep. So if you didn't like the ranked mode, you just wouldn't touch it. But then people would be really annoyed because obviously you could only play ranked in those set windows, and it was a bit more convoluted. I thought it was good. I kind of liked the idea at least of like you play your games, get a rank, that's your rank. Yeah.
Serious.
Well, at least, right? I mean, I think it was just even the way it did it, where I like the fact that, like, you got given a rank for the next week, and then did your placements again, and then that was your rank for that week. So it was like, if you just bodied all your games, obviously the matchmaker knew, like, okay, you shouldn't have been put in that rank. We'll bump him up next week. He struggled that week. Let's put him in the middle, I thought that gave it a bit more time to understand where you should be. But I guess maybe people like the progression of seeing it like, oh, I've gone up.
Yeah, I think that gets rid of the immediate positive feeling of gaining elo, right? Which, I think that was what brought me to League from CS in the first place, because I was like, I can see my progress. Whereas in CS, especially CSS, there was no... you couldn't do anything. You just played games, and it was like, well, I searched high server on, and we got bodied. I then played a mid-plus server on, and we destroyed them. So where are we? Like, I can't tell.
And then it was also, you never knew, because half the time
people
it's
lie.
Like, we'd search for games on IRC and just be like, high plus 5-on-5. And it was like, are we a high plus? Like, where are we in reality?
Right?
Like,
Or you'd find well, at least this used to be the joke back in the day, you'd search low, and it would just be people cheating. And it's just like, oh, great. Yeah. This is not at all what's meant to be here.
Right. I remember we did one where we did like a high plus 5-on-5 in Inferno for ORC one time, and we connected to the server, and I was like, oh, they've got SV cheats turned on. I could see that it was turned on. So I was just like, guys, just turn wireframe on. So we're all just playing with wireframe, and then there was obviously the old impulse commands, and one of them spawned in. Yeah, it's spawned in this like skull that was in like from Half-Life 2, but it had no visual model. It just had like broken clipping. So I covered the top of Banana in these like skulls. Everyone rushed Banana. I could see them all coming through wireframe, and they all just got stuck on like the skulls, just spraying them down. And they were going, "What the hell?" and spamming all this. And I was like, "Yeah, you had SVGs turned on." I was like, what are you, like, you obviously had been doing something. Like either you forgot to turn it off from a prac, or you were just trolling people. But it was like,
was it Funk Vehicle for the car as well?
Yeah,
Funk something.
Funk Vehicle. Yeah.
Which... yeah, I mean. But like that's a good example though of just like you didn't know where you were, where you sat. Obviously, this is technically still true now. Even if you played games like I could queue a game on Face, it's like I'm just below 3,000 elo. But at the same time, there could be people that I'm playing against who are meant to be below or meant to be higher. Technically, this will change in 50 games. This might change for me.
Yeah,
everything could be different, right? But I guess the issue, like going back to the split of like player base, you'd have people then in the normal games where they would actively now not play to win, and they'd just be like, well, it's not ranked, so I'm just here to mess around. And it's like, well,
this is just me having fun. Yeah,
just because it's the normal mode doesn't mean you're not meant to not win. Like, you still should be winning. Like that's the point of the game, is win. Not, I don't know, you're having fun or whatever also is the thing, but also winning is fun, I'd imagine, for everyone. This isn't just a single user thing, but people would say, "Oh, if you want to play seriously, go to ranked." And it's like, well, this isn't, wanting to win isn't being a serious Andy.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean?
I mean, that's the thing. It's like there's a line for both. For us, like, you should play to win because that's the game mode.
Yeah.
But like, obviously, just don't troll people. Don't flame. Like, just play the game. And then ranked is basically that, but you should have better communication, maybe a bit of strategy.
Is one they pushed a lot,
right? Yeah.
It was like higher communication was basically you should have a microphone available was the idea.
You want to chat, like try and actually converse with your teammates. But yeah, I think that's sort of just innately like the weird idea of competitive games. Where, like you say, like it was a matter of we would drag our PCs to an I-series, and then you would know, like, okay, out of the people that were willing to pay to come here, I am 4th or I am 16th, you know? And you could figure it out. You could figure out sort of roughly where you stood in terms of like the competitive scene. Or I suppose now, because everything is always online and so accessible, it's like, well, if I'm not, a turn of 6, I suck at the game. But it's like, but it doesn't really work that way. Like, it doesn't matter,
And people forget everything's relative, right? Because... it's the same as any CS thing or even Ascendant, whatever. It's like you're still at a top whatever % user base.
Yeah.
Like, good, but also you clearly don't see yourself as good as them. Which brings me back to Mickey Mantle, I think is his quote from Moneyball, where it's basically you find the more you play a game, the more you realize you know little about it or whatever. It's along those lines. Where it's like, which is true about every game. Where it's like, oh yeah, which if someone asks you, could you show me something on this game? It'd be impossible to think, where do I start? Because
like to quantify it.
But you'd also know, I don't know everything about this game because there are some mechanics which you wouldn't figure out until someone else showed you. Like, oh right, okay. Because that was, like, I remember CSS was all over that for me, because it was like, we showed things, this was me and, like, Max in, like, 2011, where Max had paid for a Rattlesnake 101 lesson, right? I don't know why he did it, but he did. And we showed Rattlesnake some things that we thought might be quite good. He was like, oh, that would piss me off, that's really good. And it was like... Well, hang on. Like, you're a CGS winner, like world champion, and you're saying
supposed to be coaching us.
Yeah, but you're saying these things we found are good. It's like, but we're 14 and like 15 at the time.
Yeah,
this shouldn't be this way around. Or never mind the idea of us showing you something that you didn't know.
Yeah,
but that was the case, and it was just like, oh, well, hang on. That kind of gives you the retrospect of this guy's a world champion, but he didn't know about this stuff about the game.
Yeah,
but obviously he knows so much more about other stuff. But there's so much to learn, is the reality.
Exactly.
About everything.
I think it's it's just one of those where it's like you say, I think it even goes down to like sort of just generally understanding life as well, where it's like the older you get and the more you do stuff, you realise like the people that think they're the smartest person in the room and will spout that generally aren't, because if you actually were like super clever, you'd realise in comparison to other things. You'd realise
you'd be
that,
somewhere
like,
else.
Like you're not that smart. Like, there is always something more to learn. There's something else that you could improve on. And like you said, it's the same thing with Deadlock. It's like there's so much stuff that I know that other people won't know, but then there's always going to be someone ahead of me or ahead of them, because they'll have gaps in their knowledge in other facets. Like the things that we might think about and figure out, someone else might figure out in 6 months' time, but they might not even know some of the basic stuff. And I think a lot of that as well, where it's like, because like you say, we get that crossover mechanically in Deadlock that no other game really has right now. So you've got to be good at aiming, got to be good at moving, got to be good at abilities, got to be good at MOBA macro. It's like there's several different things that not every player is going to have. You could take like, Nico and get him to aim. Maybe he can aim good because it's a Source engine. But is his game sense going to transfer over? If you took like, what was his name? Yeah, exactly. Will he know what items even are? He'll be confused. And then if you took like, what was his name? Like the sick Pudge player from Dota.
Oh, do you mean the Na'Vi
play
one?
on Na'Vi.
Dendi.
Yeah, if you brought Dendi in, and Dendi's like wrecking everyone on Bebop, his mechanics are unreal, he's knowing all the item counters, and he's good at MOBA, is he going to be able to play Haze and beam someone's head off? It's like,
if his Bebop gets banned, what does he do? Because
that's
the one-trick pony aspect, going down that path as well, because that's also a thing. Like the the silly quote of like, I fear the man who's practiced the same move 10,000 times. It's like, yeah, the man who's played that character 10,000 times, you ban it. And then what does he do? Oh, shit. What do I do?
Yeah, where do I go from here? Because it's like
harmless.
literally, I remember there was like so many different players in the early days where it was like the closed sort of, early test. You'd queue into people from all sorts of different esports games, stuff like that. And I played against Andy at one point where he was there. I remember Rafa was playing for a while. And Rafa kind of sucked. Like, you could see that it just didn't...
He's just used to the Quake
gel
stuff, right?
But that's the crazy thing, right? Is that, like, he is hands down the most decorated Quake player of all time. And hand on heart, like, I've casted his events. I've hosted, like, major tournaments he's won. The Katowice, he was the first player to win, basically, like, the whole circuit of, major Quake events. And even there, like, he wiped the floor with anyone. Didn't drop a single round. Didn't, even struggle. Like, out-fragging everyone. And the way you'd always explain it when you talk about him is that, like, he was always 3 steps ahead. And he legitimately was. And you chat to him and he'd be like, yeah, like, I'm not thinking about the fight I'm in. I'm thinking about where I'm then going to go and get armor and build my stack. And then the next fight. Like, he was just that kind of Rain Man brain where it was like, mechanically, I am dueling someone right now with an LG, but I'm already thinking about 10 minutes from now where I need to be to win the game. And it's like, that works, but you put him in a Deadlock MOBA environment, because it's not just one-on-one and it's not the same concepts, it just doesn't work the same, I
think it's such a big transition.
Needs a special breed.
For 1v1 to jump to 6v6 is such a big, because it goes to the quote you said from him before, it's like, I only rely on myself. Whereas, obviously, he's then thinking, well, shit, if I mess up, I'm losing it for 5 other people. But also I need to think about what are the other 6 people on the other team going to do, but also what are my teammates going to do in response to what they do, or what are they doing before, like all these pathways of decision-making trees, whatever. It does make the game have that... I don't want to say like a very high skill ceiling just generally, but at the same time, it's different. I don't think it's fair to just tag it as like, oh, it's a MOBA. Or, oh, it's a shooter.
No, yeah.
It's not as easy to say that it does have a high skill ceiling. It's like, it probably does, but also at the same time, we don't know what the game is going to be still.
Well, I think it's like, if it develops at its current rate with sort of like the ideas that it has now, I think it's weird because as much as it's like, you can look at it from it being a third-person shooter in a MOBA, it feels like in reality what you've got is Dota 2 with Titanfall movement and shooting on top of that. So it's like, if you were really sick at Apex Legends, you could probably come in and get the movement and get the aiming. But then unless you've learned all the abilities in Dota and how to counter and how to buy and like the mental gymnastics of like, okay, I've only got this many slots, but I know I need to buy these counter items, and also not be selfish, where it's like, if you're having a bad game, sometimes you have to just eat the mud and be like, right, I'm going to buy knockdown, I'm going to build this way, I need to just push for objectives, like I'll give my life for the patron, and like change everything. It's such a weird flowchart of a game, where it's like you've got to be able to just make an adaptation call every like 60 seconds. I think that's the other bit as well. I don't know, man. There's not really anything that I've played right now or in recent years that's so ADHD heavy, where it's like you can do 70 different things, you know, in Deadlock at any given time, but maybe only 10 of them will be the right choice, but one of them will be the most efficient.
Yeah, but I know what you mean by that, because I remember when I first bought, because I think I got given out, it was like a year and a half ago, but I played a few games, but then didn't really jump into it properly till like 2 months after it. And I was playing 7, and it was just kind of like the best way to describe it is you enter like a flow state feeling of you just playing the game, you know what you're going to do next, which is like that Rafa thinking of that thinking theory of, I'm not thinking what I'm doing right now, I know I'm doing that, but I've got a pathway, I'm going to do this in my mind, but if this happens here, I'll do this. If this happens here, I'll do this. But my most efficient path is doing this. But obviously, this will vary because there's 11 other people in this bloody game. I might have to change. Like, if things pop off, I might need to jump in there. Also, if things are going badly, I might have to Ross Kemp and get out of there. You never know. You never know. You have to be ready for these things because, like I said, there could be 70 scenarios when you enter that room.
Yeah.
But obviously, you mess up, you might just ruin the whole game.
Well, I think again, that's also that's the other thing that I've noticed with Deadlock, because it is also like all of that stuff, right? Again, that's still individual. Then when you add in the fact like a lot of these players aren't really coming from backgrounds where it's like the one thing that CS kind of taught all of us, I feel like, was if you could get good at CS, you could get good at any game. And that wasn't just because it was a hard game to like aim and shoot and strategy, but it was also the fact if you didn't get good comms, if you couldn't translate something very nuanced in like 2 seconds on the minute it happens or might happen, you would lose. Like, you would immediately lose. If you can't perceive something coming and communicate it to all 4 other people accurately and quickly and tell them what you need them to do, you would lose rounds in seconds. You could have the best aimers in the world, but if you're just a blithering person that can't get the point across, it's like Gordon Brown's there, you know, just being like, coming towards A site, like, it will be fucked. Like, it just wouldn't happen. It's the same thing with Deadlock, where it's like, I notice people that they'll just do, then communicate, and it's like, bro, I'm not in your mind. Like, if you're gonna ult and do something, you got to tell me ahead of time. Like, if this person does X, I'll do Y so you can follow up. If you just do it and then go, I've ulted, it's like, all right, bro, what do you want me to do? You know?
I guess it's also then this goes to a weird forward thinking path that you were just saying with. Let's say we've got someone speaking comms though as a shot caller, and they decide, I'm going to do this, and then I want you to do this and this. Some people will be very arrogant and decide, I'm not going to do that because you're telling me what to do. But also, this was a rule that we learned whilst playing in a team. Technically, it was everybody should still follow the call, even if it's the wrong call, just because then at least you're all following the same thing. You all win in that circumstance. Sometimes it could be the wrong call, but it still works out. Is the other
exactly
thing. Like, at least you're doing it together, especially in a game where this could be the game changer fight. I think even the CS thing you're saying, where you just have to, like, let's say you didn't comm that round, you just have to stem in it for a few rounds because it's like we lost that round. Now we're on eco. Everybody's in the bin. Like, this feels dreadful. Everybody's silent. Nobody's saying a word other than someone saying, "Eco this one." And that's you realise I messed up. This was my bad. Shit, we need to fix this.
Well, mate, I still I remember there was a LAN where we were playing at, and it was like we had absolutely bodied them on. I think it was like CT side overpass. We had like 14 rounds, 2 rounds to win the game. We lose the pistol where it was like someone that was on our team.
Yeah, it was 3v1.
Yeah, we should have won it. Like, it should have been done.
It should have been.
And then from that moment, it was just like, and we lost every round back to back. We did everything. We were doing endpoint strats. I remember Pulse trying to call stuff. We were doing mix strats. We were doing like
nothing was
what was it? It was U-frag strats. Like everyone that was on this team was just calling different things from different teams they've been on. We're trying everything we could. It didn't work. With double orb, triple orb, didn't matter. And we lost the whole LAN.
Also, as if like mood also is a big factor, which is again a reason why if you're, to be fair, sometimes you do have to have it out to like get through it. Is the other weird.
Yeah.
But obviously, if you're in a game with 5 randoms, I don't think you've got the time to have it out and then get through it because you might never see this guy ever again. Like, which is probably true in also every game more or less.
Yeah.
You probably will never see this person ever again. What's the point having a full-on argument for 30 minutes when you could just go, we disagree.
Yeah, like it is what it is. Go next.
Yeah.
I think it's even if you're trying to communicate something that is beneficial though as well. That's the hard part with Deadlock is because I think where people have gotten kind of used to like, if someone's talking to me, they're either flaming me, or they're complaining about something. But it's like usually, even if you just try and communicate, like guys, look, the haze is fed early game. Like this haze has like this is like a haze with like 12 kills. You're like 10 minutes into the game. It'd be like, guys, this is fine. Just everyone buy metal skin, everyone calm down. But if you start trying to tell people, guys, like, buy metal skin, people will be like, what? What do you mean? Like, why would I buy that item? Why is the haze fed? Yeah, and it's like, ignore that. Stop following the thing that's automatically buying on your screen that says, best build for you from Dave. Have a think.
Dave rank 1 in every region ever. Because they all say they're rank 1 in every region.
I have 70 top builds. Like, okay, buddy, but... That doesn't affect the game I'm in right now,
Yeah, I think that's technically that's an FPS player problem. Technically, because it's not. MOBAs are the only game where you change based on what's on the other team. Whereas obviously in CS, it's like, okay, well, let's say Donk's on the team. It's like, okay, well, ideally we avoid him, but in the end, he will come to fight us as well. Like we can't know where he is at all times. Like that's not really possible. Whereas a MOBA, it's like, you'll have to face them, but you can give yourself this infinite advantage, which is, okay, you've got these items, you can metal skin, you can curse them, and then also have them be basically doing nothing.
Yeah.
You can do a lot of things, which, again, people just kind of, maybe they don't realise yet, which, or they don't want to, is the other thing, which some people just want to play their game and have it go their way, which, their choice, right? I mean... If they want to do that, that's their bad, I guess.
Yeah, it is a weird one. It is a weird one. I will say as well then, in regards to a lot of, like, obviously, for balance patch specific stuff that we had with this one, in terms of the hero changes, most of it seemed pretty reasonable from what I was looking into when I was going through it. There wasn't anything that stuck out too drastic. There was a couple sort of key ones. I've got my little list on it. So obviously, I think we'll start with Bebop on this, right? Some things about this I don't really like. I think technically it might be a better playstyle for the character. They want you to be a little bit more melee oriented with it now. Like uppercut tier 3, that's giving you 20% your HP back on hit. But immediately I see problems with this. If you have Divine as Kevlar, hell, if you have like a life strike and you are just punching people, uppercutting people, and getting hit again and again and again, you can just get bomb after bomb, uppercut after uppercut. I feel like it's too oppressive. He was getting too much HP back anyway, just from the alt style of builds with popular items. But this just seems like it was cooked up from like the most sadistic Bebop mains. I don't know, man.
At least it's 20% of missing HP. I think that's the only thing that saves it. Because it's like, let's say, a Bebop normally will probably be, 3 to 4k health in a normal game by about 30 to 40 minutes area. He's half health. The uppercut will give him 300 health back. It probably isn't... I think it might sound worse on paper. Yeah. Which is, if it sounds bad on paper, then, you have to go in the server and test it, which... Sometimes you'll test it against someone who doesn't know that change is there, is the other thing. Yeah. Which you'll find out, I guess. I feel like the uppercut is so weird anyway, though. I guess there's a problem, I think, where... I guess if we're going to compare it to like League or Dota or something, they got too good at making characters. Which meant that the kits that they released, because they have to be new, they can't be the same kit, otherwise somebody will say, that's their skill. So it has to be something new. But usually this means it's someone's 2 spells in one or something. So let's say this, for example, Deadlock will have this problem, I think, where you've got the 3 spell upgrades, T1, T2, T3, whatever. You have to have something happen on each of them that isn't just damage increase or anything like that. So the uppercut's quite quirky because it still, reduces the cooldown of the hook, right, when you land it. It's like, did that need to happen? Probably not. If anything, it means you might be stuck in an infinite chain of just getting punched and then pulled back. Getting owned, yeah. Which is weird, right? I don't know. It's one of those spells where it's like, I don't know, why did it give ammo before, other than the idea of you burst someone down after? Like, there's a problem, I think, that could happen.
Yeah, like punch them away and then hit them, but yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's weird. It is odd. I don't know. That one to me was something where it just feels like it's a bit jarring, where I feel like you've got a lot more survivability potential to just... I suppose you go from Bebop being like suicide bomber, run in, blow up, or throw a teammate in to blow up hero, to instead be more, you fight up close with the uppercut and you bomb people. I think your camera's dying.
Yeah, there it goes. Talking about that though, so the other thing that you just mentioned, the sticky bomb cannot be self-cast. Because that's the go away of the no longer suicide Bebop builds or whatever, right? Which, that's a good move. It did get silly when the move speed got added for the tier 3.
Yeah.
It was kind of, there was the videos of people just playing it, double self-bomb, sprinting through the server. Just like, alright, cool, what do I do about this? Nothing, because you can't hit him. Like, realistically, you can't do anything.
Yeah.
It's strange. But I guess to go again towards that uppercut tier 3 thing, right? At least it's tier 3.
Yeah.
When are you getting to the tier 3 when hook, a bomb obviously prio for most people.
Yeah.
The ult has good benefits to go down that path. The hook has good benefits to go down that path. Is that going to change your bit? Like, are they wanting people to be able to go down every path as like the first max? Is that what they're doing?
I suppose giving you the viability of choosing each of them as like there is some major gameplay change that could make it oriented. Maybe that's sort of the theory behind it. I suppose that makes a bit more sense.
Does this mean that you could go uppercut max path, build yourself just like I said, life strike and like beefy?
Yeah.
But you still get the bomb stacks. Because why would you not press 2 when you got someone that close?
Simultaneously, yeah. Like the minute you've uppercut them, bomb, or bomb uppercut, either way.
Is that an argument to now not max the bomb? Because what's the tier 3 for the bomb, actually? Let me check. Because is it that much of a, like, you need to have it, if you know what I mean? Because like that's usually the theory of, can this go unavoided? Because like there are some spells where it's like, I don't need to.
Okay, well here's the thing.
Sticky bomb is just
sticky bomb tier 3. Yeah, it's still plus 5 meters for 3 seconds. So in reality, you could save yourself 5 AP from now on. Because
if you can't self cast, why would you ever do it?
Yeah, it feels like that's kind of been forgotten. Because I thought that was the addition, was the idea that you could be like, race car Bebop, just self-cast for the move speed. So instead, like you say, it's not as much that it's like now investing the AP into uppercut is expensive. It's just you have extra points to spend. Yeah. Because you don't need them.
Because I guess the comparison is, where do you put your first 5 otherwise? So the hook, 11.5 seconds, pretty good. That's half the cooldown. Not bad. Like, I don't think you prio cooldown reduction on Bebop that often anyway. I know you would get some of it, but it's not like top billing. Ult heals you, so that's pretty good, but when are you getting a full ult off in a normal game, realistically? Unlikely, or people get out of the way, in which case you don't get the benefit of it. So the uppercut actually becomes fairly, reasonable as a thing to do. Like, you could still get bomb to 2. You'd at least get bomb to 1. That's you need that. But maybe uppercut tier 5 isn't, or tier 3 rather, is still, this makes it a usable thing, maybe?
I suppose so. Yeah, that really does just feel like then it's more of an issue of the tier 3 AP on bombs just not really being
It
that
doesn't do
important.
much.
Because especially if you are going to be building like that, it's not like you're going to be running past people to get multiple bombs off and peace out. Like you're not going to be
really
arsed. You're going to want to stay up close.
To be fair,
Yeah.
like the only point was the suicide bomb method, because you'd have it on long enough that you could maybe run away in that time, or at least get halfway away.
Or like, I suppose Echo Shard, if it's like get one bomb on, move speed, second bomb.
Yeah.
But even then, you could still Echo Shards, and you could even have that to play with on the uppercut. Well, more so on the bomb. But yeah, that's weird. That's an interesting one.
I'd be interested to see someone do the uppercut as like the prior in that case.
Yeah.
Because I could see an angle where this is more beneficial. But I could also see someone just doing the hook instead, or the ult.
Yeah.
Like, equally. It probably gives like the other thing is the bomb dropping if you dispel.
Yeah.
Which, thinking about it, I've not seen it happen in the game yet. But weird, because that might be more detrimental to someone.
I think it's just, again, I'm not going to lie, I think this is one where it goes back to the conversation about communication, because it's like, unless you've even read the patch notes, you know, you might not even know about this. So you're going to purge it off, stand where you are, be like, well, what the hell? I've still taken damage from the bomb. It's bugged. Or if you're in a base fight and you purge it off, it could be even better. Yeah, when you've carried it into your backline and bombed your own team. You know, like I don't know. That's the one that's really odd. Where I get it. At least you've tried to like, oh, we will give you slightly less stacks so it doesn't build as much. But you can't purge it. But then I've seen people argue that as well, where it's like, should it ever have been able to be purged? And it's like, well, I feel like, yeah, kinda. Like, I get it's different with how it applies, but it's still a debuff. It just then does damage at the end of the debuff.
Well, in that case, would Vipers the fact that to be the... Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's the same thinking of delayed damage.
Same theory. Yeah. That's what I mean. Like, why is it special? It's not like the poison should drop on the floor and be a little puddle you slip over. Yeah, I don't know about that one. That's the thing that becomes weird.
I mean, I guess see how it goes, right? That's the...
Yeah.
People will figure out that it does drop on the floor, but is it a good thing or a bad thing for Bebop players? I'm going to guess it's neither. In the end,
I think it's just a change. Yeah, like it just comes down to being a change for them, but probably more oppressive for people that play against him, because it's just a bit more visually
also
confusing.
For someone who hasn't played in a while, because
well, yeah, you'd be very confused. Yeah. You'd be baffled as well, because I think it's even just like there's so much visual clutter on the floor right now, especially with the new heroes we've got in Rem and Graves. If the other heroes are like that as well, it's going to become a little bit more confusing in team fights to even know where's safe to stand.
Especially if you debuff one and then your teammate gets bopped as well and he debuffs too. There's just two bombs on the floor.
Just ticking. It's like a landmine field. Like,
okay, I mean, more time. It'll get changed back if it's not good, right? We know that can happen because some things do get reverted. Like, is what it is.
I think so. You also finally got some viscous changes as well, which I was happy with. Like, I think viscous for me has been so incredibly overpowered for such a long period of time, but because he's one of the quote unquote mechanically harder heroes to play, it feels like he gets away with a lot because not that many people were playing him. I think the Christmas event did a lot actually to get people to try him. And realise that he's not that hard. Like, he is just kind of a gun hero that could basically heal for free, displace people, and run your entire team over in a ball for no reason.
Get away for free, right? That's the exactly. Other, because if you're not building any spirit anyway, that's just your gateway tool.
He's gone. Literally,
and it's reduced damage.
Yeah. Well, the bullet resistance. Like, it's the fact that also he could even get over impassable terrain. Like, he could climb over beginner's walls.
Like the jump was crazy.
Why?
Yeah, I don't know. Why.
That felt mad. But I'm glad at least you've done something to make his gun not as powerful.
It's also switched around and spirit up for the trade-offs. It's like, okay, well, you want it to be that character, not that character. Which, okay, cool.
which makes a bit more sense than the rest of his kit. And also, I think I've had a lot of problems with Cube because I feel like it's silly that you can queue up inputs in Cube and be like ready to parry the second you come out of Cube. Like, why? That feels odd because you want people to punch you. It's like begging someone to try time it wrong. And but the fact that was just purging anything off him felt so weird. Like, yeah, it's a heal, but it shouldn't be like, better than any ultimate in the game. It feels like Cube, then ult, not the other way around,
I guess this, just thinking about the spirit versus like the gun thing for Viscous as well. I guess that's one thing Deadlock doesn't have is defined roles for characters, right? Which will again confuse anybody coming in if they don't put in the time to actually figure out that, there isn't just like, I'm not always a carry, which going back to your situation of sometimes you do just have to eat the mud and just kind of, you're now a support for this game because you didn't get your game on. Like, you're not a top tier carry now, you're maybe, I guess think of it like Dota roles, right? It's first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and it's like, okay, this was prior of farm, which will be dynamic.
Who gets what?
Because some characters will need it more now because they're having a good game right now. This guy will run the server if we give him the gold. Like, cool, well, Souls, he will do it. Which, obviously, I think Hayes players are obviously notorious for that, of they still want their farm.
Yeah.
Which, they will still go and get it, but it's
and then do nothing with it.
Yeah, it's just one of those, like, these things happen, right? Like, this is the... who's the one I think of? I've remembered his name in Harden, not Dota. He was Kronos in Harden. He puts the bubble and then can hit you inside the bubble. You're frozen.
Oh, yes. I know who you mean. I can't remember his name, but I know the one.
So that character in Dota, he was a hyper farm. He'll always go and farm for half the game. You won't see him until 35. He'll come in. That's what he does. Deadlock doesn't seem to have characters that will do that necessarily. But people will do it because obviously being farmed is fantastic. I love it. Like, I've got soul spent. I've got items. This is great. But you don't have the role to be like, I'm allowed to do this because I'm the carry. When it's like, well, no. This game it's Slash. Next game it could be legit. It could be Paige. Like, she might run the whole game. Like, that's it. Which I think that's a fun thing about Deadlock compared to a Dota, because it means that you're not stuck being I'm the support. That means I don't get farm. I don't do this. Which some people have struggled with that, though. I know that like not having defined roles has struggled for them, because like some people think of
some people
sports,
got confused by it.
Which you can still be a sport. Like, you just buy the items that put you as a support. Like,
buy those items and make sure you're good with using them. Yeah,
it's simple.
Well, I think it's interesting as well, because I think Rem's an example of that, where like people just thought, oh, it's a small support, cute hero, but in reality, like he's like a movement hero. When you actually play him, the way his kit works, if you're sick at movement, you can have so much investment in being able to bounce around, deal damage. His gun's better than it looks. Like, it actually scales pretty quickly. His kit as well, especially just his pillow. Like, you build on his pillow, by the time you get Spirit Burn on it, it's just rinsing people, and you can avoid everything. It's basically like Quantum Entanglement, but off cooldown way quicker. It's just, I'm going to jump to my teammate, you've had a heal, I'm going to jump to my other teammate, I've avoided that strat, like, ground slam. He is a movement hero that's basically a damage dealer, but because he has the guise of healing you, people think he's just like a dedicated support, but he's not. Like, he works very differently.
I think it's also not a character anybody can say, he's just like so-and-so.
Yeah.
There isn't a character to be like, this is a reference off of. It's literally like, this is unique, which means we can't necessarily tag it until we see more, because... it needs time, right? Because sometimes you can have utility carries, which are not necessarily spirit or gun. They are just a good character. There's nothing wrong with that. You can be a util carry, and that's that. Like, I think Dynamo's a util carry, because they can save the game. Even though they're not damage dealer, they can win the game, though. Right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of that in this game, though.
And even then, even with most of those builds, if you're just stomping, the amount of actual damage it does, it's
the ult,
unreal.
Right? Like, you land a 5-man ult, 6-man ult, that could be the game one. And it's like, oh, well, you did nothing the whole game until that point. Yeah. And it's like, oh, well.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. It's like, oh,
It's like,
cool.
I mean, that's the thing with him as well. It's like there is a lot of nuance to it, where it's like max stomp, you're just going to rinse people in terms of sheer damage output and like the knock up, and then it's also like quantum entanglement for just sheer
Such a good
survivability.
spell.
You can counter like half the ults in the game if you time it right. But again, it's half your teammates, if not communicating, will be like, "Why did you entangle me?" And it's like, "I've just saved you from like 7 different things you didn't even see coming."
Or they'll say, "Never do that to me ever again." It's like, all right,
Yeah, it's like,
I won't then.
all right, get death slammed then, I guess. My
Yeah.
bad. Like, yeah.
I remember there was one where the subway entrance near the Sinners, I pulled a teammate, like, so I was in the corner above it. I saw him through that. I pulled him through the floor. And he literally came out of the thing, like, looked around, like, wait, what? He was like, mechanics? And I was like, yeah. Because it's like, yeah, you can do that.
Yeah.
You can pull people through the wall
Yeah.
and through the floor, through the ceiling, wherever. You can just pull them. He was
Yeah.
like, I didn't know that. I'm like, well, now you do. Like,
Yeah, there you go.
be aware. You can call for your dynamo.
That
Come
one's free,
save
buddy.
me. Like, 'cause
Yeah.
it doesn't. It's not like a one-way conversation. You know, you can
No,
tell
exactly.
them to, or ask
You can
them.
request, and if it's off cooldown,
And they're
yeah,
also close enough, not, other lane.
17
Save
miles
me.
away. Yeah. Right. There was also Vindicta's changes were kind of impactful. Like, I guess it's like obviously the logical conclusion to that one is rather than getting
Oh.
souls from Assassinate equates to power from investment, you
Huh.
now just get flat weapon damage from Assassinate. So it's literally Assassinate equals damage rather than the more convoluted system of souls into buying damage. Which maybe more people start playing gun-oriented Vindicta rather than spirit builds. Like, I could see that being the popular thing to do now.
The fact it's retroactive is pretty wild, actually.
Yeah.
Because thing is, though, I guess it's counterintuitive a bit, right? Because if you don't build the spirit towards Assassinate, you might not
Yeah.
actually use it as much as you would want to. So it's like I guess that they've kind of done it the same as Great Talent then, right? It's just the opposite side. Because his ult is also an execute style of thinking. Like, you want to get the kill
Yes.
with it, or at least have them die in the same, what is it, 1 to 2 second window, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But at least that's like a general, you're basically in spirit, I want to say 70%, 80% of the time on Great Talent. Would this change enough for people to go like Gun Vindicta?
Well, I mean, that's actually a good point you pose then, because it feels like that would logically make more sense if you wanted them both to be like the sniper heroes in
Yeah.
theory, right? Like bow, sniper rifle. He obviously is very easy to play if you go spirit builds, because charge shot out, everything just goes like even spirit snare, I think. So it's the fact that it's worth buying, but also everyone would only buy spirit on Vindicta because it gave you, it's like the bullet rate of fire increased innately. Basically all of her skills, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
like
'cause
everything.
The 3
scales with
was
spirit.
outrageous in terms of actual damage.
Yeah. Like the dot damage from crows was disgusting. Like, so is it then a matter of you'd need to change how Assassinate works? So rather than it being spirit damage, it's more gun damage oriented, and then
Or
she just
50-50.
does become, yeah, true. And then she
She
just becomes that basically, like, build gun on Vindicta, and that's more a play style.
I guess they don't want to ever shove people down a path, right?
Yeah.
Which is, it becomes problematic, though. If you make spells that only scale with one thing, well, that's that, right?
You're going to buy that thing. Yeah, exactly.
Because this to me, it's a nerf, ultimately, to me. Because, realistically, I think this results in probably less play. Because Assassinate was the build, right? Although, I guess technically speaking, this might be a nerf to cheaters too, because this is also a very heavy character to be played in that aspect. But this means, though, that you just lose the bonus souls for using Assassinate cross map or whatever, roaming wise. You instead get 5% weapon damage, which, what's the comparison in terms of item or soul value? What would it be? Let me try to have a little search really quickly, because like
I suppose
it's the argument there of like, what do I get for this scale?
Because I guess that's the thing, is it's harder to quantify because it's more...
It's variable, isn't it, for all the items?
Yeah, that depends on the cost of the efficiency.
Because obviously close quarters is not fair comparison. Extended mag, I suppose, is the closest to a fair just because I know the main thing is the ammo when you do that. Mm-hmm. But that's 6%. So let's say roughly 5% is half the cost, 400. Assassinate used to give, was it 350? Or was it 300 and then 650 at the upgrade?
I think it was 250 bonus souls, or did they... I think it was around 250.
Yeah, Assassinate kills grant 250 at tier, like third tier.
Yeah. So technically, as much as it doesn't really translate 1-to-1, you would get the value of like an 800 cost weapon item in theory.
Yeah, which I don't know. I think it's a nerf ultimately because again, like you said, all the other stuff scales with spirit. Why would I change what I'm doing now? Other than the option now to be a bit more hybrid. Yeah. Which there are more aims now that favour that, right? The recharging rush was it?
Recharging rush. Yeah.
There's a lot more spells that are now like mixing the two. So it's like, I guess the caster gun heroes.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, there should be a benefit. Why should you not be buying both? For some people.
Yeah. I suppose it then just comes down to more of a question of with this. How do you farm as efficiently on Vindicta? Because obviously you didn't really want to jungle outside of shoving lanes, and you would just shove lanes and then go for assassinate to farm because that was her built-in way of generating worth. Yeah. And like if you're just if you're clearing the jungle now, like what are you doing? You should still probably just be only shoving lanes.
It's such a
and then I guess
I'm just thinking in my head of like imagine walking into a camp and it's like you'd angle your crow to go through as many at once, but that's not going to do much, is it?
It's just not going to help.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a perplexing one.
Ultimately enough, I think, because a big picture, at least. Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to think, because I swear, I thought it used to be more than it was, but I'm trying to see if there's a good way of seeing a patch history for it. Because I swear it used to be more, because it always felt like whenever I played it, I'd go the alt build because that's just what you do.
Yeah.
Was it higher than that? Because there's not many good places to see it. Because I know there's varying wiki sites, right?
So, from what I can see, from quickly searching through the forums, the last change was back in October of 2024, where they made it so assassinate bonus souls were unsecure rather than instantly secure.
Which makes sense, because
it doesn't seem like anything else was changed on the bonus soul grant until January 30th.
Yeah, okay. It just felt like it gave so much more than that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Strange.
I guess it's just the value at how many you could accumulate due to the fact it had charges.
Yeah.
That if you got like 3 kills in quick succession, it adds up a lot. You were hitting like 600 souls.
But I mean, big picture, I still just think it'll confuse a lot of people.
Yeah.
If they don't check the patch notes, which some people don't. Yeah. They just play the game.
No, exactly.
You'll be very confused that your soul count didn't go up, but instead you got weapon damage, and you've already put the spell, like the AP, into it now, so it's too late.
Yeah.
Unlucky.
It just confused you entirely.
You're bad.
Most of the other ones are all pretty reasonable. Like, they're not that drastic. Victor got nerfed very slightly. If I'm being honest, I think he needs more nerfs. I still don't understand why Aura of Suffering is able to stay on through death.
Yeah,
so it instantly goes off. And I don't understand why it doesn't have like a recharge time between turning it on and off. The fact it's just an instant switch never really made sense to me. I don't get why it has no like internal cooldown at all.
Because I'm trying to think what comparative items, because what's it called in Dota? The sword, which is the same thing. It's the Aura Burn, right? Sunfire Cape equivalent thing. I think even that had like a second where it's like it does the second you've just turned it on, second you turned it off. Like that, just that alone would be even half a second would be enough.
I know what you mean. Radiance. Yes. It's in Underlords. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, like that. I think even that, when you have it, does have like a 0.5 seconds or something where it's like there's a transition time where there's
a cooldown time that it resets.
Off, Which,
I think it's like 0.5 seconds or something.
Yeah, it's enough time for it to not feel like you are just spamming it.
On and off constantly. Yeah. That, and honestly, with the amount of changes we've got in this patch in terms of how like debuff reduction or debuff removing even works, I still don't get why Jumpstart gives him basically every stat in the world and is just the best spell ever in Deadlock. Like, Jumpstart feels very weird to me. I think that needs a bit of a rework, if I'm honest.
His kit's just a bit strange, I think. It's like the... Not impossible to balance, but how do you make it fair for someone who has a spell that brings them back to life as their ult? Not to mention the fact that it damages and stuns in an incredibly large radius, by the way.
Massive area that also gets bigger. Like,
it goes up by 3 meters for the first point when it's 13 already. Like 13.
Yeah.
I guess as a comparative of distance, what's Dynamo's Stomp at level 1 or whatever? Because Dynamo's Stomp at level 1 is 20, so it's nearly the size of the level 1 Stomp as a radius, which is bigger, though. It's 30 meters in each direction.
Yeah, 'cause it's circular.
Yeah, so that's massive.
It's also like most things in Deadlock, it's relatively unforgiving with any sort of verticality as well. So like it's just not asked. Like, you just get hit if you're near.
Which, I don't know why it does. I understand that there should be like maybe a bubble, like a dome, of stun, because it should do something like that. But why should I get punished if I'm 30 meters above you?
I don't know about that one. Yeah. So that was weird. I thought that was a little bit odd. But I mean, any nerfs on Victor I will take.
I think everybody
takes. There was there another here? There was something else I wrote down that I noticed that looked odd in the notes. I'm just scanning back through.
I'm glad Billy got changed. Some reduces as well. That felt like it was needed.
Yeah, his gun was still very strong, and that was another thing. Actually, this was a note that I wrote down about Billy, because I didn't understand why it felt like for the longest time heroes have been able to fake pump ultimates and get them refunded, like Bebop, when he could use my ult and then get it back, or why when I'm playing Warden and I've waited 2 minutes to cast my ult,
doesn't do
if
half.
I get stunned by the smallest ant, it's gone, and I have to wait the entire time. But heroes like Billy were getting their cooldown back on interrupt. Like, what was going on there?
There was no consistency at all. Because even like Dynamo does it with if you press like 0.1 second, it doesn't go off. Yeah. But it will go full on and it's like, oh well, see you again in 5 minutes, boys, I guess. Like, that's me done. As long as it was consistent, I wouldn't care. But obviously, the lack of results in frustration and just confusion.
I think that's what I mean. I think no hero should be able to fake activate their ult and then cancel it. There should be no window. If you use it, unfortunate, you've hit the button, that's it. And if you get interrupt, it should be a full cooldown. As unfortunate as that is for some heroes, if others are being affected that way, I think that should just be the blanket rule. Like, that would balance a lot more. So I think that would make that easier. Also, it was Grey Talon as well. That was the other one I was going to mention.
You can't condition for like accidents though, as well as the other, because that's a skill issue in terms of purest like fair value. That's just a problem that you had. You shouldn't have pressed the button. That's not like we need to fix this. So in case you do that.
No, it's just if you did it, you did it.
It's like adding stabilizers.
Yeah, it is. It's basically like the Deadlock, like the little elephants that you use at bowling, where you roll the ball down their trunk, you know?
Yeah. Unnecessary.
It felt weird. But yeah, GT was the only other one I was going to really mention, purely because, dude, like, again, I think people are misinterpreting Grey Talon, I would say slightly lower pick rate, correlating with him being weak, because he's not. If you're good at aiming, especially, you don't even need to be like realistically massively investing in charge shot. Even just his gun actually does a lot of damage. So if you can just aim at people, it hits. It also feels fun. I'd arguably say, I don't know, I've never loved the way Vindicta's snipe feels. I think Grey Talon feels like the more fun Source Engine like sniper hero, because his kit just feels a bit more responsive. But he does so much damage. a lot of these changes are more guided owl related though. So cooldown's gone down by 10 seconds, but the spirit power per kill has gone up by 2 from 8 to 10.
Which,
owl was already very lucrative.
It was one of those things that I mentioned before, but it's like, to me, from face value, looking at this like spell, like pure values alone, I was like, this feels kind of strong. Not like weak by any means, but just like the fact it's an execute at tier 3. The fact it permanently rewards me for using it and getting a kill, or securing a kill.
Yep.
I guess better wording, because obviously, but also it still has that window of if you get the assist within, 2 seconds? So you within a certain time window, it still gives you the charge.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is such a good ability, but obviously charge shot is the fun part, right? I think people just kind of forget that. I don't know, actually.
I think it's more the fact, though, that, like, with most of the ways you're going to build Grey Talon in the current meta, and with the items you have, he is going to deal so much bloody damage. The spirit scaling's only going to get stronger and stronger. And then that owl is going to be getting, like, even with a little bit of investment onto cooldown, you're going to be throwing out owls nearly every minute, at, longest. And then that's going to be dealing damage that will ruin you. And a 22% execute threshold is low enough if you literally just sit there, as soon as you get your ult, watching the top bar, you can farm kills for free. And that counts as an assist as well, because it thinks you're nearby. So even if you just tag them with the owl, and you don't get the bonus spirit power, you're still going to get souls for being a participant in that fight. You could build trophy collector with it. Like... You know what I mean? Like, there's so much that makes it strong, but maybe because it's not instantly responsive, people don't see it as overpowered. But I think it's getting there.
He's also, I don't want to say clunky, but it's a slow character. You're reliant on building more stamina, which people just seem to have an inherent dislike for. At least
they don't like buying greens in general,
no,
especially not stamina.
No, so it's like I get the immediate feeling of, why do I not want to play this character? That's why. And it's like, okay, but maybe you want to be the person at the back just destroying. What's the problem with that? Like, also, buying ballistic enchantment might be the way forward. Obviously, this is a newer item that was added recently, right? Because that dealing damage with that ability grants you increased weapon damage per unique hero hit. Pop that on your charged shot, and suddenly, with Rain of Arrows on, you're rinsing people.
Yeah,
like that as a you just build fire rate. You don't need to go too heavy on the damage side, right? Because that will already have it anyway. So it's like there's a lot of things that are here which they're not bad things to do.
No,
it's not all charge shot.
No, that's what I mean. There's a lot you could do with that.
Also, Spirit Snare is also just annoying and really annoying to deal with late game in every capacity.
Well, that's the other thing as well. If it starts going wrong, with the builds that you're sort of buying there, you could pivot into maxing Spirit Snare, get an Echo Shard. You literally could just play Trap Talon, and you would ruin people's lives. On a base push now, say the hypothetical of you have a Graves and a Grey Talon. If she's shoving everything with the Zomboids, and you're throwing down traps, where are you going to go? Like, literally, where do you go? You would just be trapped.
There's not much you can do about it. Like, it's... thing is, that's what I guess that goes back to the you don't have to be the carry all the time, which is this just a I'm not the main character discussion for like some people when they play games, unfortunately. Like it is, right? Some people want to be the main character and be the carry, and obviously they find it boring if they're not, which I understand the thinking process, but sometimes take that back seat and actually just be the middleman instead. It's fine.
Well, I think that's like a weird thing that Deadlock, theory-wise, that most games don't really have, where, like, realistically, you're not going to win the game off the skin of your own back, like a solid 45 to 50% of the time. Like, sometimes you are just kind of there along for the ride, and as long as you don't mess up your bit, someone else will result in the thing that causes the victory for your team. It is a bit different in that sense, where there's like a weird flow chart of, like, how many times you'll be able to be the proactive sort of face of the game, and how many times you just have to not screw up the one thing you need to do.
The only thing I think of like where you could up that percentage is literally by being a shot caller, right?
Yeah.
As in, like, okay, I'll call the shots for the game, even though I'm 0-6 right now. But trust me, guys, let's do what I'm saying, and this might be the way to up those numbers. Because thing is, you can be consistent as anything, but also you might just be in a lane which doesn't favor you, and it means that you can't be, you might not rinse this.
Yeah,
lane,
exactly.
and that's fine. Yeah. Sometimes just let someone else be the man. Like, literally.
Especially now, like if you just get hard countered early as well, it might not be the worst thing in the world to have that humility to just be like, okay, look, I understand my lane has gone awfully wrong, but if I can at least support and counter what is, the behemoth that's going to come out of my lane fed, then it's fine. But yeah, I think a lot of people do get wrapped up in the idea of like, I need to be selfish, I need to eat all the jungle, I need to do this. It's like, sometimes maybe just even hit those sinners for your teammate and then leave it, scrape like a couple seconds off of the time of someone that actually needs it getting it by just like revving it up for them a little bit as you run by,
That can also help build relations with your teammates. That's the other
thing. It's true.
I know, because some people don't ask. They walk past, they hit that sinners as you're stood there, and it's kind of like, hang on. Obviously, you can choose to raise this as a problem, or you can accept, okay, whatever. If they can take that, it's fine. There was one item change that I think was a bit of a weird one. The rapid recharge change.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this was such a random, unnecessary nerf to an item that's already very like focused in on the people that use it, right? That surely this should have been done a while back if it was a problem, right? Because like obviously Seven went through his period of being a problem because of the balls essentially, and that was
ball
rapid
maxing,
recharge, doing a lot of
Wraith cards during the card heavy meta.
This feels quite out of the blue to me. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like down 6 in the scaling, 30% or 50 to 30, also reducing the cooldown. I guess that's their way of balancing it, right? Because that's now reducing cooldown. It's different.
Yeah, I suppose it's giving you an option where at least like the base CD goes down, but it would hold back. Like card spam on Wraith won't be as oppressive. Before, like honestly, I was throwing out cards, literally card after card after card with no downtime. I think this will slow that down somewhat, at least with the interim of like couple seconds or point seconds even, but. Yeah, I don't know. That is an odd one to throw in. I guess it's also just because innately they're now having to try and retroactively balance the recharging tree because of recharging rush coming in. I suppose that kind of screws it up a little bit, where like if you're dealing damage anyway, you're getting charges back. And on Graves, all of these items are like mad meta. Like if you don't buy recharging rush on Graves, what are you doing? Like,
that's true. It's just that it's just the fact that it felt out of left field, right? It was just because it's probably the heaviest hit. If I'm trying to think what was destroyed. There wasn't anything really destroyed, was there? Because I guess debuff removal was destroyed and turned into dispel magic, which
you completely changed that entire tree.
Yeah, with now into spellbreak.
Which
strange, but sure.
I just don't know why any of that had to happen, to be honest. I think it made sense, and now it kind of doesn't. But
but fine. I guess they thought debuff remover, or what is now dispel magic, was too good. It was too viable. You could buy it every game and probably never have done it wrong.
No, that was one slot that you should have been giving to that item. Consistently, So I guess that's their thinking of maybe the data suggests that this is too good, which fine. I understand that thought of thinking, but also this might balance it to a way that people aren't thinking. Because the thing is, I used to buy it purely off of one character's problem at times, which is pretty wild to think about that you'd spend that money to do that. But now people were buying it when it was like borderline necessary. Because it had decent side attributes. So maybe this changes it back to what I had it as a thinking. Which is like, okay, case use, whatever. Not sure. It's interesting.
I mean, it did feel unnecessary though. The whole path changing and everything. That was very.
Just
weird.
feel like a very out there one in terms of how it's been reworked. Yeah.
But I mean, otherwise it's what Curse got renamed to Cursed Relic, and now it has a -8% total damage penalty, which wording wise is confusing. I think.
Yeah, because.
Do you know
That's the thing. When I read it, it makes it sound like, is this beneficial or is this negative in terms of how it's operated? Because it also specifically says while holding.
Yeah, where else am I putting it?
Like, what is that? Is that just when it's in my inventory? Like when I buy the item? Like
it's a.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm taking this as meaning that I do 8% less damage.
Yeah, that's what would make sense.
That's what that means, right? Negative 8% total damage penalty. So you are cursed a little bit, is what that means.
For the benefit
of,
I guess that's the way it works. Yeah.
What they could do, which might be kind of funny, is if you've used it and when it's off cooldown, you get rid of the penalty.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is that what the while holding implies as well, though, where it's like literally in that period of using it as an active item, that period, like that, what, like 3.5 seconds or whatever it is when it's causing it?
Because that was like I know it became sort of not necessarily flavor of the month, but it did have like a really strong window of use where it was like everybody's buying this. It's kind of annoying. So let's reduce it a little bit, which I was all on board with. But did it have a problem of was the weapon damage that much of a problem? Because obviously they got rid of that.
Well,
was that an issue?
It was basically. I think most heroes you'd either buy this or you would buy Focus Lens just for like the additional damage you get out of it. But I suppose what made this more annoying than Focus Lens was also you could basically purge basically like anything in the game. I think it would remove literally anything other than ults. So you'd like screw over everyone, even with the passives. You'd be able to like drag people down as well. I'm pretty sure it cancelled fly, it cancelled like rain of arrows. So it was just like it was old school slowing Hex, but better in every way.
Yeah. So, but I guess that thinking of the total damage penalty is at least putting people. I guess did they not want people like Haze to buy it? Because
I guess so.
I guess like you got 2 in 1.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's like, well, this is a utility item.
Yeah. Well, gee, that was the gross thing. Even with like high rate of fire Haze builds, if you got Focus Lens and Curse, you could put both on one person. I would dagger them and then just shoot them in the face and they die.
Yeah.
And it's like, what can I do? I'm silenced. I'm even further silenced. I'm like interrupted, and you just sit there. And obviously it's great when you're playing Haze, but absolutely sucks on anyone else. So yeah, maybe that was the theory.
I still think Focus Lens is a bit too good. But
it's way too strong. Spirit Sap is way too strong.
Yeah,
the spirit power you get from buying either of these items is despicable. Yeah. Like, they're both very strong items that, like, I guess we upped the cooldown slightly like a couple months ago. But that's not enough. Like,
yeah, but I'm just looking through the notes. It went October 24th, went to 35 seconds. A month later, it got reduced to 25 to match Focus Lens, and then 2 days later, it went up to 32.
Yeah,
and it's like, okay, but also it's a 1600 item, so it's like 32 seconds isn't that crazy because if you think about it, you're buying this probably in lane phase, the same as what someone might do. Like disarming Hex, or you might buy Suppressor or something because in lane it might be super powerful. Like you're playing a double like an Infernus Haze, it's like, okay, I'll get Suppressor, this will do really well right now. 32 seconds means you'll get it for any big fight in your lane, which big fights, well, I say big fight, but you know what I mean, like a proper 2v2 trade might happen every 32 seconds. It's up every single time. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. No, that's what I mean. Like, for the most part, like, you know, a team fight lasts 2 minutes, maybe, if it's like, you know, an intense bout. Maybe you could get this out 4. Like, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, that's a ridiculous turnaround. Yeah.
But obviously, the amount
Which
of
is
stuff you got for
better,
it is crazy.
but no, exactly. That was literally the thing of like most of these heroes that it's very powerful on. Like if you have any sort of spirit burst damage, just buying spirit sap instead of like slowing hex tends to be the better path because of the longevity. It's like, what do I get if I upgrade my slowing hex? Like vortex web, right, where it like sucks them in. Yeah, it's kind of useful on some heroes, but to the degree, not really. Like if I'm playing Dorman, sure. If it's someone else, if I get Focus Lens, I'm still going to be far more viable because I can just get the extra like echo damage off it. Don't know. Food for thought, Benjamin.
I think there's a lot of that in this one, just because obviously with new heroes being added as well at the same time, it's also hard to judge properly.
Well, that's the thing. It's who knows if the reason we've got this now, when normally, I don't think with the last hero voting we had a balance patch halfway through. Who knows if the reason we've got half of the changes in here is because the other kits that are yet to come that we don't know about needed this to not be despicably overpowered. Like, maybe Venator scales crazy with this stuff and they needed to put something in, who knows?
Yeah, I guess obviously they'll be doing changes based on other stuff, which fine, makes sense. Like, why would you not? Based on future events that are yet to come. But yeah, I mean, big in terms of balance changes, though. Like, obviously, it's rare that we get what this looks like 4 paragraphs to 5 paragraphs worth of item plus hero change.
Yeah,
it's a decent chunk.
It's one of the bigger balance patches we've had in the past 4 months. Like, and I know that because I still have to finish editing patch notice in a minute, and it's normally I'd be done, and that's obviously one of those. So yeah, it's definitely bigger than it seems, but it's not bad. Most of this is good. I think there's a lot more positive in terms of negatives. Overall, if you've watched this 2 hours of a podcast and you're considering playing Deadlock again, you haven't played in a while, come back. It's really good right now. Like, there's a lot more things. You've got new game modes, new heroes. For context, next new heroes coming out in 1 day and 18 hours at this point. So end of Monday for Europe, depending on when you're watching this. He might already be out, or she might already be out. Who knows what we're going to get next? But yeah, we'll see what comes. I think all in all, the game's in a good spot. I think this probably arguably the biggest major update we've ever had. And it seems like it's been the biggest resurgence in terms of like the gaming sphere. Everyone wants to love Deadlock right now. I've seen people that have never even sniffed at the game suddenly saying they love it and that they've loved it forever, even though they've never even played it before.
Yeah, not me. No, trust me, guys. I've got 900 games. That's loads. Not that much. It's the fact that I play CS as well at the same time and still work the shows too. There's only so much time in a day.
Yeah, it's hard, man. It's hard.
Yeah.
Like, especially like even trying to play as much as I am around making all the content with the amount of stuff they're releasing right now. It's hard because you want to give accurate context on this stuff, but it's good. It's good fun. Deadlock's in a good spot. So if you're not playing, now's probably a great time to get back into it. But yeah, I think we'll leave it there for today's episode. Podcast is finally back for those of you that have been asking about it and wondering what's been going on. So we'll try and get these out a little bit more regularly for you again. Thanks to Ben, of course, for joining us for today's episode. It's always a pleasure. We've been doing this for many years, but usually just, at the back rooms of LAN halls when we're a bit drunk. So now we just do it on camera again.
At 4 a.m. Just the two of us.
After a nice spot of karaoke. Yeah, it's good. Me and Ben have been all over the world together. We've been on national British television on the BBC many years ago now. Yeah, we've done an awful lot, so it's awesome to get you on, especially someone whose opinion I trust on a lot of this stuff as well, because you legitimately have been a salaried professional player in multiple different games and across the years under very different organisations. Team UK even. Ben went to China and flew the British flag high.
Really good. Check that event out. It's really good. WCA 2016. Put it on HLTV. It's really good. We didn't get beat 16-0 first game of the event and get questioned. Why are these guys playing for Team UK? by the Gfinity guy literally next to us. It was like, what do you mean? Like, please.
So that was good.
Yeah,
that was
happened though.
genius.
Do you know what I mean?
It did, it did happen. But yeah, a man with many stories to tell. Hopefully, we'll get more stories out of Ben on future episodes of the podcast. We'll be back with another one soon. Got some other guests that we're going to be lined up in the future. Ben's going to be floated around. Daisy's going to be jumping on. It's all your favourite Dead classics with very heavy Deadlock featured episodes and some Deadlock adjacent ones as well with some familiar friends of the channel. So there'll be some surprises in store. But that's it for today. Any final words, Ben, before we let them continue with their gym sesh or possibly driving to work in America in their Mustang or Ford?
Other brands are, of course, available.
They are indeed.
Just thanks for having me on. Obviously, in a perfect world, I'd have more gameplay to actually talk about stuff, because that's the one thing I never like talking about it and not having enough to like internally sample myself, you know.
Yeah.
But obviously, time will give that option, so hopefully be able to come back another time.
Yeah, once Ben's wrapped up with IEM Krakow, if you're watching any of the CS events, you'll see a lot of Ben's work behind the scenes as well. Basically, anything narrative-driven, I'm going to give all the credit to Ben. It's always been him. He's always been a genius at being able to convert numbers into incredible stories. And we'll get Ben back telling more stories soon. But that's it for today's show. Thanks for watching, Deadheads. From us here at Dead Air, we'll see you next time.